Chapter 424. Bang! Murong Yu's fist smashed into Mo Fo's handsome face, causing him to see stars before his eyes. His entire body was sent flying. At the same time, Murong Yu was unable to continue flying and landed on the ground. You lost. Looking at Mo Fo, who had fallen to the ground, Murong Yu revealed a disdainful smile. At the same time, the crowd began to hiss. They did not think that Mo Fo, who was a golden immortal, would be so weak. He could not even fight back in front of a high immortal. He was too weak. Too trashy. This guy only has looks but no substance. He can't even withstand a single blow. Looks but no use. He's a disgrace to a golden immortal. All kinds of disdainful voices from the surrounding crowd continued to spread, making Ko Ping's face turn very ugly. As for Mo Fo, his face was ashen. He still did not understand how Murong Yu could beat him to the point that he could not fight back. Even if Murong Yu's attacks were as crazy as a storm, his realm and strength were enough to kill him. But the result was like this? I must have been careless and he took the opportunity to kill me. This time I must torture him. Mo Fo gritted his teeth and slowly walked towards Murong Yu. I was just giving you a chance. Now, I'll show you the power of a golden immortal. I'll let you know that a high immortal is no match for a golden immortal. Mo Fo sneered. His body flashed and he pounced again. I'm invincible under the Xian immortal. Murong Yu laughed. His voice was full of confidence. Isn't this kid too arrogant? Invincible under the Xian immortal? He's just a high immortal, Murong Yu said confidently. But in the surrounding people's ears, it sounded like arrogance. What an arrogant kid. Doesn't he know that there's always someone better than him? Someone sneered. Obviously, they could not stand Murong Yu's arrogance. You don't have much strength, yet you're so arrogant. You really don't know the meaning of death, Ko Ping said disdainfully. He was very unhappy with Murong Yu. Perhaps it was because of the old man. Although he is only at the ascendant immortal stage, that disciple of yours, Mo Fo, is absolutely no match for Murong Yu. Today we have obtained 2 royal armaments, Yang Lin said with a smile, not feeling enraged. Ko Ping's face turned extremely grim. Just an ascendant immortal. How can he be a match for a gold immortal? The average ascendant immortal is indeed no match for a gold immortal. However, Murong Yu is no ordinary person. Luo Yang revealed a faint smile. He was aware of Murong Yu's abilities. Even a 9-heaven Xian immortal could not kill this guy, let alone a puny golden immortal like Mo Fo. Die! Mo Fo roared indignantly. He used the counterforce to soar up into the sky, throwing a punch at Murong Yu's head. You really overestimate yourself. Although Murong Yu had given Mo Fo a good beating, he did not use much strength. Thus, Mo Fo did not suffer any injuries. Originally, he thought that Mo Fo would take the opportunity to admit defeat. He did not expect this guy to be so tactless. In that case, I will give you a good beating. I will beat you until you admit defeat. Murong Yu's eyes glinted with a cold light. Then, he threw out a fierce punch. 1,000 Army Elephant Fist. Bang! The 2 fists collided violently in the void. A terrifying power erupted, causing ripples to appear in the void. It was as though the void was about to shatter. Crack! At the same time, when the 2 fists collided, the crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard. Swoosh! A figure rose into the air, and was violently sent flying into the distance. Mo Fo's hand was broken, said an expert from the crowd watching from afar. It turned out that during the collision, Murong Yu had already unleashed a terrifying power that broke Mo Fo's hand. Although Mo Fo was a golden immortal, his strength was far inferior to Murong Yu's. His body was also far inferior to Murong Yu's. After all, Murong Yu's body had reached the level of a 5th-grade immortal weapon. Murong Yu used the army formula and turned into a phantom, rushing forward. A punch landed on Mo Fo's body. Crack! Mo Fo's body emitted a crisp, cracking sound. A few bones in his body had been broken. His entire body was sent flying once again. Wind and fire cultivation world used to be the last place. It is the same now, and it will be the same in the future. Murong-yu said disdainfully as he slapped Mo Fo out of the square. Humph! Ko Ping was furious. His face was gloomy as he snorted coldly. His powerful aura was about to seep out of his body. If you dare to make a move, I don't mind killing you here, Yang Lin said calmly as he glanced at Ko Ping. However, his calm voice caused Ko Ping to be taken aback. Although Yang Lin always had a smile on his face, Ko Ping knew that this guy was an absolute god of death. Once he had the intention to kill, Ko Ping might really be killed on Mount Wuji. What kind of monster is this Murong-yu? He's only an upper immortal, but he can kill an extreme immortal without any chance to fight back? The first time Murong-yu beat Mo Fo to the point that he couldn't fight back, it could still be explained by luck. But what about the second time? Was it still luck? This was strength. However, in the immortal world, the difference of a small realm was like the difference between heaven and earth, not to mention the difference of an entire realm. The difference of an entire realm was like a chasm between heaven and earth. It was impossible to kill someone of a higher realm. However, Murong-yu beat Mo Fo to the point that he couldn't even fight back. Everyone was convinced that if Murong-yu really wanted to kill, Mo Fo would have been dead already. How did he defeat Mo Fo, who had a higher realm than him? In the immortal world, only 1 in 100 million could kill someone of a higher realm. Those were the halos of geniuses. Could it be that Murong-yu was one of those so-called geniuses? They didn't know if Murong-yu was one of those geniuses, but the scene of him beating Mo Fo today was deeply engraved in the minds of these onlookers. For the first time, Murong-yu entered these people's memories. In other words, Murong-yu had made his first appearance in the Heavenly Retribution Palace. 2 royal armaments are in my hands. Yang Lin smiled and stretched his hand towards Ko Ping. Give me the royal armaments. Ko Ping's expression was gloomy. In this battle between Murong-yu and Mo Fo lost completely. Ko Ping directly lost 2 royal armaments. These were royal armaments, not ordinary immortal armaments. Even he, Ko Ping, didn't have many royal armaments. Losing 2 royal armaments in one go was enough to make his heart ache. Isn't it just a royal armament? I still have an imperial armament. Even billions of royal armaments can't compare to an imperial armament. Ko Ping comforted himself and threw a royal armament to Yang Lin. Murong-yu, I want you dead. At this moment, a thunderous roar exploded from the square. Rumble. At the same time, an extremely terrifying aura erupted and rushed into the sky. Bang, bang, bang. When this aura erupted, many of the disciples of the Heavenly Penance Palace near the square were sent flying. Many of the disciples were sent flying in all directions, coughing up blood. Even Murong-yu's expression changed at this moment. The aura of an immortal king and a royal armament. Mo Fo used a royal armament. At this moment, Murong-yu's expression darkened. At this moment, he saw Mo Fo, who was not far in front of him, holding a divine armament that emitted a terrifying aura, rushing toward him. The divine armament in his hand was one of the royal armaments that they had used as a prize. At this moment, Mo Fo had actually pulled out his royal armament and wanted to rely on its power to kill Murong-yu. Murong-yu, die! Mo Fo shouted with a ferocious expression. Holding the royal armament in his hand, he slashed it toward Murong-yu. Chi! A sword light that looked like the Milky Way in the sky fiercely slashed out, creating a crack in the void. This sword light contained a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth. It tore through the void and slashed toward Murong-yu at an extremely terrifying speed. Murong-yu's expression changed greatly. A royal armament's attack was equivalent to an immortal king's attack. Even if Mo Fo's strength was not enough to unleash the full power of the royal armament, even a small portion of its power was extremely terrifying. It could even easily kill a 9 Heavens Xian immortal. Killing Murong Yu was a small matter. How dare you, Mo Fo? At the same time that Murong Yu's expression changed, the other people's expressions changed as well. Especially Yang Lin and Ko Ping. Ko Ping's expression changed greatly. His figure flashed and disappeared from where he stood. A towering giant hand suddenly appeared out of nowhere and grabbed the terrifying sword light that Mo Fo had slashed out. Then, the giant hand exerted a little force, and the terrifying sword light that could split the void was directly shattered. After crushing the sword light, the giant hand moved horizontally in the void, breaking the void and slapping toward Mo Fo. Traitor, you're courting death. It turned out that it was Ko Ping who had attacked. He slapped down and snatched the royal armament from Mo Fo's hand. At the same time, he slapped Mo Fo unconscious. Ko Ping was an immortal king-level existence. Normally, he would not be able to easily resist a royal armament. However, Mo Fo was not strong enough to unleash the power of the royal armament. Otherwise, Ko Ping would never dare to receive a slash from an immortal king with a royal armament. Ko Ping, you've taught a good disciple. Yang Lin had appeared beside Murong Yu at an unknown time. His eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at Ko Ping, who was not far away. Ko Ping's expression was extremely gloomy. Today's matter was Mo Fo's fault. He was impulsive. When he wakes up, he will ask you to personally visit him and apologize. At this moment, Ko Ping was extremely furious. He kept cursing Mo Fo, that little bastard. If it weren't for the fact that I saw the opportunity and made my move a step earlier than Yang Lin, I'm afraid both of us would have been killed by Yang Lin on Mount Wuji today. Motherf * Ker Mo Fo, you little bastard. When we get back, I'm going to teach you a lesson. Chapter 425. With Yang Lin's personality, if Ko Ping hadn't knocked Mo Fo out earlier, not only would Mo Fo be killed, but even Ko Ping wouldn't be able to avoid the fate of being killed. Fortunately, Ko Ping had reacted early, or the two of them would have died today. Even so, Yang Lin's face was gloomy, and his eyes flashed with killing intent, as if he still didn't want to let Ko Ping and Mo Fo go. He was confident in Murong Yu's strength, and knew that even if Mo Fo used the royal armament, he wouldn't be able to threaten Murong Yu's life. However, that didn't mean that there was no threat. Moreover, even Mo Fo dared to treat Murong Yu like that. If Yang Lin didn't do anything, did that mean that other people could also treat Murong Yu like Mo Fo? Although Murong Yu wasn't Yang Lin's disciple, he was still China's punishment enforcer and was of the same lineage as him. Yang Lin wouldn't allow these people to bully Murong Yu. Apologize? Murong Yu is only a small ascendant immortal, and his strength is weak. If you hadn't acted earlier, he would have been killed by Mo Fo. What's the use of apologizing? Yang Lin looked at Ko Ping with a gloomy face, and a dangerous aura emanated from his body. Ko Ping's face was gloomy. Although he was angry because of Mo Fo, he still didn't like Yang Lin. You didn't hurt Murong Yu, did you? What else do you want? Of course, this was only Ko Ping's thought, and he didn't dare to say it out loud. If he dared to say it out loud, Yang Lin would probably slap him. This old man was about to become an emperor. How could a small immortal king like him be his match? What else do you want? Ko Ping looked at Yang Lin with a belly full of anger. Although Murong Yu wasn't hurt, looking at his frightened appearance, he must have been scared out of his wits. Maybe he's so scared that he won't be able to improve his strength. Tell me, what's the use of apologizing? Ko Ping and the others looked at Murong Yu. At this time, Murong Yu was standing in the same place. His appearance was as vigorous as a dragon and ferocious as a tiger. Where was the appearance of someone who was frightened out of his wits? Yang Lin was simply lying through his teeth. However, even if Yang Lin was lying through his teeth, What could they do about it? Thus, you must compensate Murong Yu with a royal armament. Otherwise, this matter will not be settled. A royal armament? Ko Ping almost vomited blood. Do you think royal armaments are ordinary weapons? He could have as many as he wanted. That was a king weapon that could only be produced by an immortal king after countless years of nurturing. Murong Yu was doing fine, yet he wanted Ko Ping to compensate him with a royal armament? Yang Lin was trying to extort them. If Ko Ping really did compensate Murong Yu with a royal armament, then he would have lost 3 royal armaments today. This was a king armament. How many king armaments could he, an immortal king, possess? Every king weapon was an extremely rare divine weapon. Not every immortal king had a divine weapon. Once the news got out, it would cause a storm of blood. What? You're not willing? Yang Lin looked at Ko Ping, and the dangerous aura on his body became even more intense. Since that's the case, then a royal armament it is, Ko Ping said through gritted teeth. He hated Yang Lin to death in his heart. He even wanted to slap the culprit Mo Fo to death. If it wasn't for this guy's provocation, would he have lost 3 royal armaments today? Humph, in front of an emperor armament, no matter if it's a royal armament or a sovereign armament, they're all trash. They're all trash. Isn't it just a royal armament? Ko Ping said through gritted teeth. With a pained expression, he took out a royal armament and threw it to Yang Lin. Yang Lin didn't even look at it. He directly threw the royal armament, as well as the 2 royal armaments that Murong Yu and Mo Fo made a bet, to Murong Yu. After putting away the 3 royal armaments in the Hichu Luoshu world, Murong Yu was overjoyed. He didn't expect that this trip to the Heavenly Punisher Palace would actually let him obtain 3 royal armaments. These were royal armaments, equivalent to a mortal king's royal armaments. With royal armaments in hand, Murong Yu was even confident that he could kill a profound immortal. Let's forget about this matter. Ko Ping glared fiercely at Yang Lin and Murong Yu, then carried Mo Fo and left the square. Today, the 2 of them had lost a lot of face. If it wasn't for the fact that he still needed to verify Mo Fo's identity, he would have already left the Heavenly Punisher Palace and returned to the Wind and Fire Cultivation world. Seeing that there was no more drama to watch, the surrounding people gradually dispersed. At this time, Feng Ro walked up and looked at Murong Yu with envy. I didn't expect you to be so strong. You even obtained 3 royal armaments. It's just that Mo Fo is too weak. Murong Yu smiled and didn't take this matter to heart. If it was any other place, Mo Fo would have been killed by him. Feng Ro was somewhat depressed. She was also in the Golden Immortal Realm and had previously looked down on Murong Yu. However, she didn't expect Murong Yu's strength to be so frightening. Now, she no longer had any pride in front of Murong Yu, because she knew that if Murong Yu wanted to kill her, she wouldn't be able to resist at all. Especially now that Murong Yu had a royal armament in his hands. As long as Murong Yu activated the royal armament and slashed at her, she wouldn't be able to block it at all. She would die without a doubt. Old man, how many immortal veins can 1 royal armament be exchanged for? Murong Yu eagerly ran to the old man's side and asked. The old man was stunned. Then, with a slap, he sent Murong Yu flying. Scram! In the future, if I hear you talk about exchanging royal armaments for immortal veins again, I'll kill you with 1 slap. Exchanging royal armaments for immortal veins. Only Murong Yu could think of this. Could royal armaments be exchanged for immortal veins? An ordinary immortal king would only have 1 royal armament after countless years of nurturing. How many royal armaments would be needed to be worth the value of a royal armament? Basically, royal armaments and super divine armaments were priceless treasures that couldn't be exchanged for with immortal veins. What I lack now is immortal veins, Murong Yu said gloomily. It's not that there aren't any immortal veins. Which of those large sects doesn't have immortal veins? Just rob them, the old man said. Murong Yu rolled his eyes. Of course, he knew that those large sects in the immortal realm had immortal veins. However, did he have the ability to rob them? The sex that he could rob might not necessarily have immortal veins. He might not have the ability to rob sex with immortal veins. Why don't we do something big after this matter is over? Old man, your strength isn't bad. It seems that you have many powerful friends. Why don't we go and destroy the Immortal Palace? Destroy the Immortal Palace? Only you can think of something like that. The old man was so angry that he almost laughed at Morongyu. If the Immortal Palace was so easy to destroy, the Heavenly Punisher Palace would have destroyed them long ago. How could they allow him to remain as one of the 3 giants of the Immortal Realm? You are the enforcer of Huaxia's cultivation world. Your future path is your own. It has nothing to do with me. After your identity is verified, you are you and I am me. We will have nothing to do with each other. You walk your single-plank bridge and I walk my sunny path. Old man, you are too heartless. Morongyu was furious. Looking at the others, such as Feng Rou and Mo Fo, the previous enforcer must have given them many benefits. However, the old man didn't give him anything. You have to walk your own path. The old man said indifferently and then left. Morongyu was left alone to curse the old man for being stingy. Verifying one's identity in the Heavenly Punisher Palace was actually very simple. To put it bluntly, the enforcer's identity and other information would be recorded in the Heavenly Punisher Palace. This was especially true for enforcers of the cultivation world like Morongyu. Before they came to the Heavenly Punisher Palace, they were already recognized by the cultivation world's origin. The Heavenly Punisher Palace wouldn't interfere too much. The enforcers of the cultivation world are all single people. They don't have anything. After verifying his identity, Morongyu left the main hall. He couldn't help but complain along the way. The enforcers of the Immortal Realm's headquarters and branches all enjoyed the benefits of being a disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace and could be promoted. However, the enforcers of the cultivation world couldn't be promoted. They could only be promoted after a certain period of time. Just like the old man, they could only be promoted after leaving office. However, although the enforcers of the cultivation world were on equal footing with the palace master of the Immortal Realm's Heavenly Punisher Palace, they had no subordinates. Fortunately, they could also enjoy all the rights and benefits of the palace master of the branch. The Heavenly Punisher Palace is really rich and overbearing. I've just become an enforcer and they've already rewarded me with 10 immortal meridians. Not bad. Morongyu was secretly happy. In addition to the 10 immortal meridians, there was also a certain amount of various immortal pills and even immortal expansion pills. However, there weren't many immortal expansion pills. There was only one immortal expansion pill every 100 years. One immortal expansion pill every 100 years. If one needed immortal expansion pills to break through to the next realm, one immortal expansion pill was useless. One had to use a large number of immortal expansion pills. However, I can also use contribution points to exchange for any resources of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. The Heavenly Punisher Palace had a large number of various missions. As long as one completed these missions, they could obtain contribution points, which were also points, from the Heavenly Punisher Palace. These points could be exchanged for any resources of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, including information, magic weapons, pills, all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, and even various cultivation methods. This is a good way to make money. If I have enough points, I can transform into enough immortal meridians. As long as I have immortal meridians, I can obtain more and more immortal expansion pills. I can also use immortal meridians to speed up Hichu Luoshu's cultivation and make myself stronger. Morongyu pondered in his heart. He had already decided how to use these points in the future. After becoming a punisher of the cultivation world, I will have 10,000 points from the Heavenly Punisher Palace. If I want to exchange more points for resources, I have to complete the missions of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. However, after becoming a punisher, I still need to complete a certain number of missions within a certain period of time. Motherf ****, I have been cheated by the old man again. Didn't the old man say that after becoming a Punisher, I will have absolute freedom? Why do I still need to complete missions? However, there are not many missions. Within 1,000 years, I only need to complete 3 missions. As long as I complete these 3 missions, the Heavenly Punisher Palace will not interfere with my freedom. I can do whatever I want. Most importantly, as long as I complete 10 missions, the Heavenly Punisher Palace will not continue to give me missions. I can also continue to enjoy the treatment of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. These are the steps that newcomers must go through. Chapter 426. As the enforcer of the cultivation world, the Heavenly Punisher Palace did not have any requirements or restrictions other than the 3 missions that had to be completed within 1,000 years. However, Murong could enjoy all the benefits of a branch of the Heavenly Punisher Palace in the immortal world. 1 immortal expansion pill every 100 years, 1 first-grade immortal meridian every 10,000 years, and other benefits and privileges. Immortal expansion pill and immortal meridian. Although 1 immortal meridian could only be obtained every 10,000 years, it was still a huge fortune for immortals like Murong. After all, even a branch of the Heavenly Punisher Palace might not have the ability to obtain an immortal meridian. 1 immortal meridian every 10,000 years was enough for immortals to cultivate. Now that I have 10,000 points, I don't need to do missions to exchange for contribution points for now, Murong thought to himself. He did not need to worry about immortal expansion pills now, and he had 3 king weapons. In addition to the divine items that he already had, Murong had an abundance of divine weapons. At this stage, he did not need any other divine weapons or magic treasures at all. Moreover, the Heavenly Punisher Palace had rewarded him with 10 immortal meridians. Although they were only first-grade immortal meridians, it was enough for now. In other words, Murong did not need to continue fighting for now. Of course, this did not mean that Murong was filthy rich. If that was the case, he lacked everything now. After all, he had thousands of immortals under his command, and there was the Chaos Shenzhen in the cultivation world. Once Shenzhen's people ascended, Murong would have to worry about all kinds of things again. Although Shenzhen is not in a hurry to ascend, it is not a good idea for them to always stay in the cultivation world. I have to find a way to settle down as soon as possible so that I can develop Shenzhen. Murong had now joined the Heavenly Punisher Palace. With the Heavenly Punisher Palace as his backing, he was not afraid of anyone. Although his identity as an enforcer could not be revealed, he was still a member of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Once he was bullied in the outside world, the Heavenly Punisher Palace would not sit idly by and do nothing. Moreover, the thing that made Murong the happiest was that even if they were disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, they could establish their own sects and the Heavenly Punisher Palace would not interfere. The reason for that was because, as disciples of the Heavenly Punishing Palace, the sects they established were actually sects of the Heavenly Punishing Palace, even though they appeared to have no relation to the Heavenly Punishing Palace on the surface. Once the Heavenly Punisher Palace in trouble, the sects established by the disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace's disciples would not stand by the Heavenly Punisher Palace. In addition, the disciples of the Heavenly Punishing Palace were not only disciples of the Heavenly Punishing Palace. A considerable number of people were disciples of other sections. These people might be disciples of other sects that the Heavenly Punisher Palace had recruited, or disciples that the Heavenly Punisher Palace had forced into other sections. There because Heavenly Punisher Palaces to the palaces have Heavenly Sects Palace. The Heavenly Punisher Palace did not interfere too much with these matters. The Heavenly Punisher Palace only had one request for them: do not harm the Heavenly Punisher Palace's benefits. Do not betray the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Otherwise, no matter what your status or strength is, you will be hunted down by the Heavenly Punisher Palace until you die. Thus, even if Murong Yu was the enforcer, he never forgot to bring primal chaos Shenzhen to the immortal world. However, he still had too many enemies and did not have many resources. It was not suitable for him to bring Shenzhen to the immortal world. From now on, I will leave the Huaxia cultivation world to you. Pay more attention to the Huaxia cultivation world. Pay attention to other cultivation worlds and some people in the immortal world. The old man instructed Murong Yu. Isn't it just a mortal world? No one should want to invade it, right? Murong Yu said indifferently. The cultivation world is the foundation of everything. The cultivation world contains things that even the great leaders of the heaven realm would be moved by. You will understand this in the future. At the same time, being the enforcer is not as easy as you think. Take care of yourself in everything. Before he could finish his sentence, the old man floated away and left Mount Wuji. Old man, wait a moment. Murong Yu hurriedly called out to the old man. However, the old man had already disappeared to God knows where. I wanted to ask what position you hold in the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Murong Yu rolled his eyes. This time, the old man brought him to the headquarters of the Heavenly Punisher Palace in the Yan Huang Immortal World, not only to verify Murong Yu's identity, but also to report on his position. I hope the old man is some kind of guardian elder. With his personality, he might protect me. Otherwise, I don't know anyone here. I'm afraid I will be ostracized and remembered by many people. Murong Yu had 3 royal weapons in his hands. Royal weapons. Even an immortal king might not have such a divine weapon. However, Murong Yu, a heavenly immortal, had such a divine weapon. It was hard to guarantee that the disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace would not be jealous. Murong Yu was not naive enough to think that they would not dare to snatch the royal weapons because they were all disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. After the old man left, Murong Yu felt waves of divine wills constantly scanning his body. Some of these divine wills were strong and some were not. Murong Yu even felt the aura of an immortal king from these divine wills. The immortal kings are also tempted by these royal weapons. Murong Yu sneered in his heart. These immortal kings should be ordinary immortal kings. They were not strong and had not nurtured their own royal weapons. Although they were not strong, they were immortal kings after all. Even if he had royal weapons, he was not a match for them. I'm still not strong enough. Murong Yu sighed in his heart. If he had the strength of the old man, who would dare to have ideas about them? If someone really dared to have ideas about them, he could kill them with a slap. Now, should I complete the 3 missions first or return to the Huaxia cultivation world first? Murong Yu pondered. For the time being, Murong Yu did not need the missions to earn contribution points and point. However, Murong Yu had to complete the missions that had to be completed within 1,000 years. This kind of mission had to be completed in the end. It was better to complete it as soon as possible so that he would not be thinking about it all day long. It was like he was in debt. Let's complete the missions first. Murong Yu thought for a moment and came to the other side of Mount Wuji. On Mount Wuji, other than the hall from before, there were many buildings and halls. One of them was the hall where missions were issued and completed. The disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace needed to accept missions, hand in missions, and receive mission points in this hall. They could even use their points to exchange for various resources of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. When Murong Yu arrived at the hall, he found that there were many people entering and exiting the hall. These were all disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Some were here to accept missions, while others were here to receive points or exchange for items after completing missions. This hall was always one of the busiest places in the Heavenly Punisher Palace. After all, accepting missions was the best way for disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace to exchange for various resources of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Mission 1. There is a group of bandits in the Lingnan mountain range in the southernmost part of the Lingnan region. These bandits have committed all kinds of crimes. Over the years, many inferior sects have been wiped out by them. This mission is to eradicate them all, leaving no one alive. When Murong-Yu saw this mission, he could not help but roll his eyes. This group of bandits might not be very powerful. In the eyes of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, they were not even ants. Therefore, it was one of the 3 missions that Murong-Yu had to complete within 1,000 years. However, Murong-Yu was only in the superior immortal realm. With his strength, it was impossible for him to wipe out this group of bandits. Didn't you see that this group of bandits had wiped out many inferior sects? I'll take it first. In any case, I just have to complete it within 1,000 years. Murong-Yu did not hesitate. He directly accepted the mission. If these bandits weren't too strong, Murong-Yu would have been able to eliminate them. After all, the mission did not specify that Murong-Yu had to do it alone. He had many 9 Heavens Xian immortals under his command. He was not strong enough, but were these 9 Heavens Xian immortals not strong enough? If they were not strong enough, then he would have to wait until he was strong enough to complete the mission. Mission 2. In recent years, the Immortal Palace has frequently attacked the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Many of the Heavenly Punisher Palace's ordinary enforcers have been killed. You must destroy an immortal king of the Immortal Palace, or destroy a subordinate sect of the Immortal Palace. This is a show of strength, a warning to the tiger, and a blow to the Immortal Palace's arrogance. An immortal king. If I were the old man, not to mention 1 immortal king, even 10 immortal kings would be a piece of cake. Unfortunately, I can't complete it now. But I'll still take this mission. I don't have the ability to kill an immortal king for now, but destroying a subordinate sect of the Immortal Palace is still possible. Isn't the Black Civ sect a subordinate sect of the Immortal Palace? In any case, the mission doesn't specify what level of sect I have to destroy. Murong-Yu sneered in his heart. He had originally planned to destroy the Black Civ sect. Now that he had this mission, he could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Mission 3. The Palace Master of the Feng Province branch has mysteriously disappeared. The branch is now a pot of porridge. I hope you can investigate the mystery of the disappearance of the Palace Master and reorganize the Feng Province branch. This mission is a bit difficult. Murong-Yu was somewhat speechless. Obviously, these missions were all new. For example, the bandits and the Immortal Palace's actions against the Heavenly Punisher Palace had only happened recently. The disappearance of the Feng Province branch's Palace Master had also happened recently. But what puzzled Murong-Yu was, why did the mission ask him to investigate the disappearance of the Palace Master? Moreover, he had to reorganize the Feng Province branch. If he had the old man's strength, he would immediately reorganize the Feng Province branch. But right now, he was only an exalted immortal. How could he reorganize it? In a branch, there must be as many experts as there were clouds. The Palace Master was at least an immortal king. If an existence of this level had mysteriously disappeared, how could he investigate? However, it was obvious that the Heavenly Punisher Palace wouldn't give him an impossible mission. He had to complete it within 1,000 years. Could it be that the Heavenly Punisher Palace knew that he could reach the Immortal King realm within 1,000 years? Moreover, the chaos in the Feng Province branch could continue for 1,000 years? Murong-Yu was puzzled, but he still had to accept the mission. He still had to complete it. Chapter 427. After accepting the 3 missions that he had to complete, Murong-Yu did not leave the Heavenly Punisher Palace immediately. Instead, he went to the other side of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Mountain peaks stacked on top of one another. The scenery was beautiful. Mountain peaks rose steeply from the ground. At the top of the mountain, there were many magnificent palaces and buildings that stood between the heavens and the earth. This should be the place. Murong-Yu came to the front of a mansion and walked in. This was an extremely luxurious manor that occupied an extremely large area. In addition to the palace, there were many other buildings in the manor. Not far from the manor, there were many similar manors. These manors were the residences of immortals with a certain status in the Heavenly Punisher Palace. For example, Morong Yu. Although he had just become the enforcer of Huaxia's world of cultivators, the Heavenly Punisher Palace had given him a manor in addition to 10 spirit veins. Welcome, Palace Master. As soon as Morong Yu stepped into the manor, a middle-aged man dressed like a butler led a dozen people over. They stood in front of Morong Yu and bowed slightly with a respectful expression on their faces. You are. Morong Yu's face revealed a trace of astonishment as he looked at the people before him. These people were so powerful that Morong Yu could not see their cultivation bases. Morong Yu was currently an exalted celestial with the strength of a golden celestial. Generally speaking, he could see the cultivation bases of profound celestials with just a glance. However, after becoming an overarching heavenly supreme celestial, Morong Yu could not see through their cultivation bases. These people are at least 9 heavens Xian celestials. Morong Yu was shocked. Although he could not see through their cultivation bases, Morong Yu had many 9 heavens Xian celestials under him. These people had the aura of a 9 heavens Xian celestial. In fact, Morong Yu could sense the aura of a celestial king from the man dressed like a butler. This middle-aged man dressed like a butler was most likely a celestial king. Was it possible for a celestial king to be a butler? Morong Yu did not believe it. Palace Master, I am the steward of the manor, and they are the servants here. From now on, you are the Palace Master here, and we are all your servants. The middle-aged man who looked like a butler said respectfully. Such a large manor indeed needed someone to take care of it. It was only right that he needed a butler and servant. Morong Yu thought to himself. He was not surprised by this. What are your strengths? Morong Yu was most interested in their cultivation levels. They are all at the 9 heavens Xian immortal realm, while this old servant is at the immortal king realm. The butler said respectfully. A servant at the 9 heavens Xian immortal realm and a butler at the immortal king realm. Morong Yu was shocked. The heavenly punishing palace is really generous. Even a servant is a 9 heavens Xian immortal. Palace Master, this old servant will now show you around the manor. Morong Yu nodded, and the butler brought Morong Yu to visit his manor. During this process, Morong Yu found out that the butler's surname was Ma, Butler Ma. The manor was indeed very large. It was comparable to some small sects in the cultivation world. It really had everything. It could almost accommodate tens of thousands of people. Butler Ma, are all the manors here configured like this? After familiarizing himself with his manor, Morong Yu asked. All the manors in the heavenly punishing palace have a butler and a dozen servants with the same strength. The servants are 9 heavens Xian immortals, while the butler is at the immortal king realm. Butler Ma replied respectfully. There were more than 1,000,000 manors in the heavenly punishing palace. Ordinary people were not qualified to stay in these manors. Only the palace masters of the various branches of the heavenly punishing palace and the enforcers of the cultivation world were qualified to stay. Of course, there were some mountains in the headquarters. As long as one's status in the heavenly punishing palace was high enough, and had enough contributions to the heavenly punishing palace, then one could have a mountain in the heavenly punishing palace. A mountain peak and a manor were 2 completely different concepts. In the heavenly punishing palace, there were very few people who had a mountain. Most people had a manor. In the entire heavenly punishing palace, there were more than 1,000,000 manors like Morong Yu's. Each manor had a butler at the immortal king realm. In other words, there were more than 1,000,000 immortal kings in the heavenly punishing palace. In addition to these immortal king butlers, the heavenly punishing palace must have a large number of immortal king experts. There are more than 10 million immortal king experts in the heavenly punishing palace. I'm afraid there are also many immortal monarchs. There should also be many immortal emperors. Morong Yu thought. The more he thought, the more shocked he became. If the heavenly punishing palace was like this, then as one of the 3 giants of the immortal world, the immortal palace should be similar. Those super forces and first-rate forces must have a lot of expert. The immortal world was indeed the immortal world. Experts were as common as clouds. Palace Master, our current manor is now a 1-star manor. The highest star manor is a 9-star manor. Butler Ma suddenly said. Murong Yu was surprised. Manors are divided into stars. Yes, the higher the star level of the manor, the more treatment and power you enjoy. You can even increase the number of servants. The higher the star level of the manor, the more butlers and servants there are, and the stronger they are. The benefits of the manor and the punishment enforcers. 1-star manor would get 1 immortal expansion pill every 100 years and 1 immortal vein every 10,000 years. It was basically the same treatment as Murong Yu, but there was no conflict. 9-star manor, 100 immortal expansion pills every 100 years and 100 immortal veins every 10,000 years. Butler Ma said. In other words, 1 immortal expansion pill every year and 1 immortal vein every 100 years. Even if it was only a first-grade immortal vein, it was still a huge fortune. How do I increase the star level of the manor? Murong Yu's heart moved and asked. Challenge the palace master of a manor with a higher star level. As long as you defeat them, you can replace their star level. In addition, you can also complete missions. As long as you complete enough missions and have enough contribution points, you can increase your star level. After a 9-star manor, you can directly own a mountain. Butler Ma said. Do missions to increase the star level of the manor? How many missions do I have to do? Leveling up through challenges is the way to go. Murong Yu muttered. Seeing Murong Yu muttering to himself, Butler Ma seemed to have seen through his thoughts and said, The palace masters of the manor, other than the enforcers of the cultivation world, are at least immortal kings. Okay. Murong Yu dismissed the idea of challenging the other manor's palace masters. Butler Ma's words actually revealed a piece of information. Those who could become a branch palace master were at least immortal kings. If a palace master of a 1-star manor was an immortal king, then what about a 9-star manor's palace master? What realm had their strength reached? I'm afraid it's impossible to increase the star level of the manor in a short period of time. Murong Yu was a little depressed. Then, he looked at the Butler Ma with shining eyes and asked, Butler Ma, since you are all my people, can I take you out of the heavenly penalty palace? Butler Ma was an immortal king. If he took him with him, completing his 3 missions would be a piece of cake. Palace Master, you can't do that. We can't leave the heavenly penalty palace. Unless. Murong Yu was a little depressed at first, but after hearing Butler Ma's words, he knew there was hope. So, he asked, unless what? Unless you upgrade the manor to a 5-star level, you can't take anyone out of the heavenly penalty palace. That's as good as not saying anything. If I have the ability to upgrade the manor to a 5-star level, I'm afraid I'll have the power to fight an immortal king. At that time, it'll be useless to take you out. Murong Yu thought helplessly in his heart. After knowing that it was impossible to take these experts out of the heavenly penalty palace, Murong Yu dismissed the idea in his heart. 3 missions. Kill the bandits, destroy the Immortal King realm experts of the Immortal Palace or the Immortal Palace's affiliated sects, investigate the mysterious disappearance of the Palace Master of the Feng Province branch, and reorganize the Feng Province branch. Of the 3 missions, destroying the Immortal Palace's affiliated sects should be the easiest. The second is to destroy the group of bandit. The hardest is to investigate the mysterious disappearance of the Palace Master of the Feng Province branch. Then, I'll start with destroying the Immortal Palace's affiliated sections. The Black Civ sect, just wait for your destruction. Murong Yu sneered in his heart, then left the manor and shot out of the Heavenly Penalty Palace. The Heavenly Penalty Palace is in Lingnan Province, but the Black Civ sect is in Jian Province. The distance between the two is really too far. I can't fly. If I just run like this, how long will it take to reach Jian Province? Murong Yu fretted. The immortal realm was really too big. To travel through millions of provinces was a huge undertaking. How could I forget about Hichu Luoshu? Just as Murong Yu was fretting about when he'd be able to reach Jian province, he suddenly thought of Hichu Luoshu. Whoosh! With a thought, Murong Yu disappeared into thin air. When he reappeared, he was in Jiangzhou. This was where he'd been hunted down by the immortal king of the Water Palace. There was still some distance between Jiangzhou and Jian province. There was nothing Murong Yu could do. He'd never been to Jian province, so he'd have to keep running. The Water Palace is at least a first-rate force. Even the Immortal Palace couldn't wipe them out. They're too strong. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a bad idea to destroy the Water Palace and move the Primal Chaos Holy Sect to Jiangchuan. Murong Yu thought to himself as he shot towards Jian province. The Water Palace had tried to kill him several times, but Murong Yu had long since sentenced them to death. But now, although Murong Yu had joined the Heavenly Penalty Palace, he didn't have much power. The Heavenly Penalty Palace couldn't destroy the Water Palace for him. Therefore, it was impossible for him to destroy the Water Palace now. First, I'll raise my status and strength in the Heavenly Penalty Palace. One day, I'll destroy the Water Palace with my own hands. Murong Yu laughed coldly in his heart. Jiangzhou and Jian province were only separated by a few large provinces. Murong Yu used the army character formula to travel at incredible speed. In just a few days, he'd reached Jian province. After asking around, Murong Yu learned where the Black Civ sect was located. Chapter 428. Jian province, Black Civ sect. The Black Civ sect was nothing more than a third-rate sect. Even their leader, Patriarch Black Civ, was only a golden immortal of the great firmament. No matter how powerful the Black Civ sect was, they didn't have a Nine Heavens Xian immortal expert. After all, the Black Civ sect was nothing more than a third-rate sect. However, because the Black Civ sect was a subsidiary sect of the Immortal Palace, the disciples of the Black Civ sect grew more and more arrogant, despite the restrictions imposed by the sect. Although they weren't strong, they had a powerful background. With the Immortal Palace as their backer, how could the disciples of the Black Civ sect not be arrogant? Because of this, even third-rate sects in Jian province didn't dare to do anything to the Black Civ sect. They were angry at the Black Civ sect's tyranny, but didn't dare say anything. Of course, the Black Civ sect disciples didn't dare to be too arrogant. They didn't dare to provoke sects that were too powerful. Otherwise, if they angered those great sects, destroying the Black Civ sect would be a trivial matter. Would the Immortal Palace take revenge for the destruction of the Black Civ sect? Perhaps. Meanwhile, outside of the Black Civ sect, two people and a dog were slowly making their way toward the sect. A black-robed young man, a violet-robed little girl, and a large black dog. The violet-robed little girl was riding on the large black dog's back. Halt! You are from the Black Civ sect. If you don't, you'll be killed. The two people and the dog hadn't even gotten close to the Black Civ sect when several Black Civ sect disciples jumped out from the side. They looked at the newcomers with disdain. "Son of a bitch," said the large black dog angrily. "You're just a trifling Black Civ sect. How dare you act so arrogantly? Let's see if your Lord Heavenly Dog doesn't destroy you." The newcomers were Murong Yu, Little Purple, and the large black dog. "Little Purple, sit tight," said the large black dog. With that, he transformed into a black beam of light that shot toward the Black Civ sect disciples. "You're looking to die." Seeing the large black dog pouncing toward them, the Black Civ sect disciples flew into a rage. One by one, they unsheathed their weapons and slashed at the dog. "Heavenly Dog eats the sun," the large black dog roared. At this moment, he suddenly opened his mouth, which was like a gigantic black hole. Crack! The large black dog fiercely bit down. The sound of shattering glass rang out, and an astonishingly large hole instantly appeared in the void in front of the large black dog. It had actually been bitten off by the large black dog. As for the Black Civ sect disciples, they were nowhere to be seen. Most likely, he had already been swallowed by the large black dog. Motherf *Ker, how dare you be so arrogant in front of Lord Tengu? You really don't know how to spell the word death. After swallowing the Black Civ sect disciples, the big black dog was still in a bad mood. Cursing and swearing filled his mouth. Old Black, your teeth are quite good. There was a look of surprise on Murong Yu's face as he looked at the large black dog. This guy was actually able to bite off a piece of the void. It should be known that Murong Yu could only create a ripple in the void with his full strength. Shattering the void with a single punch? Only a ninth heaven Xian immortal could possibly do that. Perhaps even a golden immortal of the great principle could. In any case, there was no way Murong Yu could shatter the void with a single punch. Our heavenly dog clan's teeth have always been quite good, the large black dog said proudly. As heavenly dogs, they could even bite off the void of the heavenly realm, not to mention the void of the immortal realm. When they became strong enough, they could even swallow the entire world. Old Black cursed them. Perhaps they were too arrogant, thinking that no one would dare to invade them. After the large black dog had killed a few people, the Black Civ sect hadn't made any move. Murong Yu had no choice but to order the large black dog to curse them. Woof! The large black dog barked happily. He took a few steps forward and slapped out with his paw. The dog's paw met the wind and instantly grew to the size of a mountain. Then he slammed his paw down on the Black Civ sect's main gate. Bang! There was a heaven-shaking boom. The Black Civ sect's main gate was smashed to pieces, turning into ash. It had been smashed to pieces by the large black dog's paw. Damn Black Civ sect! Damn Patriarch Black Civ! Hurry up and come out to die! After smashing the Black Civ sect's main gate with his paw, the large black dog began to curse the Black Civ sect. Where did this bastard come from? When they heard the large black dog's curses, many of the Black Civ sect disciples were alarmed. Cursing and swearing, they rushed out of the Black Civ sect. So much food! Seeing the endless stream of Black Civ sect disciples rushing out, the large black dog's eyes shone like a hungry wolf. The big black dog cursed. Then it opened its mouth and bit down on the Black Civ sect disciple who had just charged out. Crunch! The large black dog bit down on a large swath of the void. Even the ground had been bitten into by the large black dog. Over 100 Black Civ sect disciples didn't even have time to cry out in alarm before the large black dog swallowed them whole. Woof! This is so satisfying. You bastards, hurry up and let Lord Heavenly Dog eat. The large black dog was thoroughly enjoying himself, and he kept barking in delight. Kill this big black dog! When they saw how ferocious the large black dog was, the Black Civ sect disciples were shocked. Then they were enraged. One by one, they roared angrily and attacked the large black dog from afar. Woof! 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 The large black dog barked happily. He opened his mouth and swallowed the Black Civ sect disciples one after another. At the same time, he stood up on his hind legs and slapped out with his front paws. Bang! 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 The Black Civ sect disciples were only in the sky immortal stage. How could they possibly be a match for the large black dog? Their attacks were dispersed by the large black dog before they could even reach its body. They couldn't dodge the large black dog's attacks. Mists of blood exploded as the Black Civ sect disciples were swatted to death by the large black dog. Where did this wild dog come from? How dare you act so impudently in the Black Civ sect? A furious roar rang out, and a large hand shot out from the depths of the Black Civ sect and slapped toward the large black dog. Woof! The son of a bitch has come out. Retreat! The large black dog's reaction was extremely fast. The instant the large hand shot out, he'd already realized that he wasn't a match for it. After cursing loudly, he quickly charged towards Murong Yu. He's at least a Xian immortal, Murong Yu sneered inwardly. He was no match for this person, but he wasn't afraid. Swish! A figure appeared next to Morong Yu. It was the Nine Heavens Xian immortal, Zodong. Kill. Don't leave a single one alive. Morong Yu ordered Zodong. The Black Civ sect was a lackey of the Immortal Palace. Years ago, they had sent people to kill him and seize the Hichu Luoshu. If it weren't for Morong Yu's powerful strength and his connection as a punisher, Morong Yu and the Chaos Shengzhen would have been destroyed by the immortals of the Black Civ sect. Therefore, Morong Yu absolutely wouldn't show any mercy to the Black Civ sect. He wouldn't leave a single one of them alive. Zodong nodded without question. Even if he did, he wouldn't dare to ask. All he had to do was carry out Morong Yu's orders. Bang! Zodong punched out, shattering the void and directly shattering the huge hand that was swiftly and violently slapped out. However, Zodong's movements did not stop. After shattering the huge hand, he followed the direction where the huge hand had come from and slapped towards it. Ah! A miserable shriek rang out from the depths of the Black Civ sect. The expert who had attacked earlier had been killed by Zodong. No matter how strong he was, how could he be a match for Zodong, a Nine Heaven Xian immortal? Who goes there? How dare you cause trouble in the Black Civ sect? Don't you know that the Black Civ sect is a subsidiary of the Immortal Palace? A furious roar rang out, and several figures shot up into the air from the depths of the Black Civ sect. They hovered in midair, glaring angrily at Morong Yu. Morong Yu motioned for Zodong to hold back for now. He took a few steps forward, staring coldly at the experts hovering in midair. Which one of you is Patriarch Black Civ? Patriarch Black Civ's heart was filled with rage. Today, someone had come to provoke him. This had never happened after the Black Civ sect had become a subsidiary of the Immortal Palace. Now it was happening again. Who could be so arrogant? I am Patriarch Black Civ. Who are you? Why are you provoking the Black Civ sect? Aren't you afraid of the wrath of the Immortal Palace? Patriarch Black Civ glared at Morong Yu, his killing intent seething. Who am I? Said Morong Yu with a cold laugh. I'm the person you sent down to the lower realm to kill. Didn't you say you wanted to take my treasures? I can tell you that I have all of them. I'm standing right in front of you. If you have the ability, why don't you come and take them? You're Morong Yu? He asked. You're the mortal who burned down the door of immortality, the one who had a spatial magical treasure capable of carrying living people? When he heard Morong Yu's words, Patriarch Black Civ couldn't help but cry out in shock. Exactly. Morong Yu looked at him disdainfully. Morong Yu, said Patriarch Black Civ, I never would have guessed that you'd already ascended, and reached the ascendant immortal stage. But, in the immortal realm, you no longer have the protection of the enforcers. How dare you appear in front of me? By now, Patriarch Black Civ was no longer angry at the death of his sect's disciples. In fact, he was delighted. All he had to do was capture Morong Yu, take his treasures, and offer them to the Immortal Palace. Then, he would have a chance to break through to the arcane, immortal stage of the Nine Heavens. In fact, he might even become an immortal king. You can wear out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by sheer luck. Capture them. Patriarch Black Civ roared. Swish, swish, swish. Before old ancestor Qing Luo could even finish his sentence, the experts beside him had already turned into streaks of light as they charged towards Morong Yu. They knew what had happened to Morong Yu, and they were just as delighted as Patriarch Black Civ. They don't know the difference between life and death. Morong Yu shook his head. Zodong, kill them all. Don't leave a single one alive. Zodong immediately charged forward. After a moment's thought, Morong Yu decided that Zodong alone wasn't enough. A second arcane immortal of the Nine Heavens appeared. Chapter 429. Two Xian Immortals of the Nine Heavens. The Black Civ sect was nothing more than a second-rate sect. The strongest among them were only golden immortals of the Great Principle. There was an entire realm of difference between them and Xian immortals of the Nine Heavens. Zhou Dong and his companion met the incoming golden immortals head-on. Thump, thump, thump. The difference between golden immortals of the Great Principle and Xian immortals of the Nine Heavens was enormous. As soon as the two sides clashed, clouds of blood exploded in the air. The great golden immortals of the Black Civ sect had been killed by Zhou Dong and his companion the moment the two sides clashed. In the face of Xian immortals of the Nine Heavens, the golden immortals of the Great Principle couldn't even withstand a single blow. The ordinary disciples of the Black Civ sect were scared witless by the sight. Even Forefather Blue Civ's face was ashen and gloomy. Xian immortals of the Nine Heavens. Very good. No wonder you're so fearless. Patriarch Black Civ hovered in the air, glaring at Murong Yu with murderous intent. Murong Yu laughed coldly. If it weren't for that, would he have dared to come here? He was an August immortal, a golden immortal? Murong Yu never fought a battle he wasn't confident of winning. However, he was surprised to see that Patriarch Black Civ was the only golden immortal left of the Black Civ sect. Why didn't he flee? Did he have something to rely on? Or did he know that he couldn't escape? Two Xian immortals of the Nine Heavens. Very good. However, even if you have two Xian immortals of the Nine Heavens, you can't escape the fate of being killed. Today you will die without a doubt. Patriarch Black Civ looked at Murong Yu and laughed coldly. Then he shouted, "Summon the experts of the Immortal Palace." Swish, swish, swish. Before Patriarch Black Civ could finish speaking, three figures shot up into the air from the depths of the Black Civ sect. They stood side by side with Patriarch Black Civ, each of them emanating a powerful aura. Three Xian immortals of the Nine Heavens? Murong Yu's heart pounded. He could sense the auras of Xian immortals of the Nine Heavens from them. However, that didn't surprise him. Of the nine immortals of the Nine Heavens, because they weren't a threat to him. He was shocked. Why would an expert from the Immortal Palace appear in the Black Civ sect? To the Immortal Palace, the Nine Heavens Xian immortals were just servants. After all, immortals at the Nine Heavens Xian immortal realm were merely servants of the manor in the Heavenly Tribulation Palace. Could it be that the Immortal Palace has always had experts in the Black Civ sect? Apart from the Nine Heavens Xian immortals, are there any experts of a higher realm, such as immortal kings? Murong Yu's face immediately darkened. If there really was an immortal king from the Immortal Palace, then not only would they be able to destroy the Black Civ sect, but they would also lose their lives. But the Black Civ sect is just a small fry. The Immortal Palace shouldn't have any experts here, right? Murong Yu thought to himself. In truth, Murong Yu was feeling very nervous, but Patriarch Black Civ was secretly feeling lucky. Fortunately, a few days ago, the Nine Heavens Xian immortals from the Immortal Palace came to Jian Province to do some business. I invited them over to receive them. Otherwise, the Black Civ sect would have been destroyed today. As it turned out, these three Nine Heavens Xian immortals hadn't been sent by the Immortal Palace to oversee the Black Civ sect. The Black Civ sect didn't qualify for the Immortal Palace to send anyone to oversee it. They'd just come to Jian Province to do some business, and had been invited by Patriarch Black Civ to receive them. If Murong Yu had been even a day late, they would have already left the Black Civ sect. "Seniors, please take down Murong Yu," Patriarch Black Civ said excitedly. "He has something that the Immortal Emperor needs. If we can capture Murong Yu today, the Immortal Emperor will definitely reward us handsomely in the future," Ancestor Qing Luo said excitedly. After all, Murong Yu only had two Nine Heavens Xian immortals, while the Immortal Palace had three. In terms of numbers, they had the advantage. As far as Patriarch Black Civ was concerned, Murong Yu was doomed to die today. When the three Nine Heavens Xian immortals heard Patriarch Black Civ's words, their eyes lit up. In front of Patriarch Black Civ and the others, they were incomparably glorious and lofty. But in the Immortal Palace, where experts were as numerous as the clouds, they were just small fries. Once they took down Murong Yu and got what the immortal emperor needed, the immortal emperor would not only reward them handsomely, but their status in the immortal palace would also skyrocket. They might even become core disciples. Immortal Emperor. The immortal emperor that Patriarch Black Siv and the others spoke of was not the immortal emperor realm, but the palace lord of the immortal palace. In truth, it wasn't just them. In the Yen Huang immortal realm, everyone referred to the palace lord of the immortal palace as the immortal emperor. Other immortal emperor realm immortals weren't directly called immortal emperors. In the immortal realm, even if one reached the immortal emperor realm and became an emperor, one couldn't just be called an emperor. To become an emperor, one had to gain the approval of certain people, and that was the approval of those who called themselves emperors. For example, Old Man Yang Lin was about to become an emperor. Perhaps he was already an immortal emperor realm expert. But even if he was an immortal emperor realm expert, he didn't have an emperor's throne, and others wouldn't call him immortal emperor Yang Lin. If one wanted others to call him immortal emperor Yang Lin or emperor, one had to gain the approval of certain people. Only by gaining the approval of those people could he ascend to the emperor's throne. Because of this, even though there were countless immortal emperor realm immortals in the immortal realm, there were very few who could become emperors. Among them, the palace lord of the immortal palace was one, and she was directly called immortal emperor. The devil sex sect leader was called the devil emperor, and the sacred sex sect leader was called the sage emperor. Of course, it wasn't just these three giants who were called emperors in the immortal realm. There were many other powerful existences who were also called emperors. For example, the palace lord of the heavenly wrath palace. The two of you, kill those 2 9 heavens Xian immortals. Leave Murong Yu to me. One of the 9 heavens Xian immortals sneered and reached out a huge hand to grab Murong Yu. Murong Yu's expression didn't change as he looked at the incoming hand. He just sneered. He was no match for a 9 heavens Xian immortal, but he had more than 2 9 heavens Xian immortals as subordinate. Whoosh! The space in front of Murong Yu's eyes flickered, and a figure appeared. As soon as the figure appeared, he punched out before he could even get a firm footing. Boom! After an earth-shattering explosion, the fist collided with the 9 heavens Xian immortal's huge hand. A terrifying force exploded and the two hands shattered at the same time. The terrifying force shattered a large part of the void, and then both of them were annihilated in the void. A 9 heavens Xian immortal? The 9 heavens Xian immortal from the immortal palace was shocked. Ancestor Qing Luo's expression also changed greatly. How could he have so many 9 heavens Xian immortals by his side? Ancestor Qing Luo was alarmed. It seemed that Murong Yu had come prepared today. However, before old Ancestor Qing Luo and the others could recover from their shock, 2 more figures appeared beside Murong Yu. 2 more 9 heavens Xian immortals. The immortal from the immortal palace was shocked. Murong Yu now had 5 9 heavens Xian immortals on his side. That was 2 more than they had. If that was the case, the 3 9 heavens Xian immortals from the immortal palace were shocked. A sense of danger rose from the bottom of their hearts. Perhaps agreeing to visit the Black Civ sect as a guest had been a mistake. Kill them all. Murong Yu was unmoved. He gave the order to kill. The 5 9 heavens Xian immortals transformed into streaks of light and shot towards the 3 9 heavens Xian immortals from the immortal palace. You're going against the immortal palace. You're courting death. Do you understand? The 9 heavens Xian immortal who'd attacked Murong Yu earlier roared at Murong Yu as he retreated. I don't know if I'm courting death, but you're all dead meat. Murong Yu laughed coldly. Die. The 3 9 heavens Xian immortals transformed into streaks of light and shot towards the 9 heavens Xian immortal. The 9 heavens Xian immortal's face fell. Run! The 9 heavens Xian immortal had no intention of resisting when facing 3 experts of the same level. He turned around and tried to escape. But would he be able to? The 3 9 Heaven Xian immortals pounced on him, unleashing their most terrifying attacks. An incomparably terrifying power shattered the void and blocked the 9 Heavens Xian immortal from the immortal palace. He had nowhere to run. Bang! 3 against 1. There was no suspense in the outcome. The 9 Heavens Xian immortal from the immortal palace wasn't an expert. He was just an ordinary disciple of the immortal palace. He couldn't withstand more than a few blows from the 3 9 Heavens Xian immortals. At the same time, the 9 Heavens Xian immortals who'd been battling Zodong panicked when they saw that the 9 Heavens Xian immortal couldn't withstand a single blow. They frantically attacked their opponents in an attempt to escape. However, Zodong and the 9 Heavens Xian immortal blocked their path, not giving them a chance to escape. In the end, the other 3 9 Heavens Xian immortals charged forward. Bang! Bang! It didn't take long for the 9 Heavens Xian immortals from the immortal palace to be killed by Zodong's group. Forefather Qing Luo, where are you going? Forefather Qing Luo knew that things were going south when he saw that Murong Yu had 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals on his side. However, after flying for a short distance, he found that his path was blocked. Another 9 Heavens Xian immortal. Forefather Qing Luo's face darkened. Before he could react, he saw a giant hand shatter the void and grab him. Even if I die, I'll take you down with me. Forefather Qing Luo was furious. He knew that he wasn't a match for the 9 Heavens Xian immortal, so he decisively decided to self-detonate. The 9 Heavens Xian immortal who'd blocked Forefather Qing Luo's path of self-detonation paled. Even a 9 Heavens Xian immortal wouldn't be able to withstand the terrifying power of a golden immortal's self-detonation. Forefather Qing Luo was so determined that his opponent, the 9 Heavens Xian immortal, didn't even have time to react. We're finished. Once Forefather Qing Luo self-detonates, we're dead for sure. This was the first thought that appeared in everyone's minds. Chapter 430. If Patriarch Black Civ, a perfected golden immortal, self-detonated, the entire Black Civ sect and the area around it would be reduced to ash. Perhaps Murong Yu could rely on the Hichu Luoshu to escape with his life, but Zodong and the other arcane immortals of the 9 heavens would die without a doubt. They were arcane immortals of the 9 heavens. Even if Murong Yu had the immortal expansion pill, he didn't want to lose them. As soon as he sensed that Patriarch Black Civ was about to self-detonate, Murong Yu made his decision. He didn't immediately enter the Hichu Luoshu and leave. Instead, he reached out and made a grasping motion. A moment later, a long sword emanating a terrifying aura appeared in his hand. Murong Yu's long sword radiated an aura countless times more terrifying than that of the arcane immortals of the 9 heavens. A royal weapon. Murong Yu held the weapon he'd won from Mo, the enforcer of the Wind-Fire realm. This was Murong Yu's second time wielding a royal weapon. When he sensed the mighty aura of the weapon, Murong Yu's face didn't darken in the slightest. If I fail to stop Patriarch Black Civ's self-detonation, perhaps I'll be reduced to ash as well. Or perhaps I'll just be seriously injured. Murong Yu wanted to stop Patriarch Black Civ's self-detonation. Not even arcane immortals of the 9 heavens were capable of such a feat. Could a mere August immortal like him do it? No one knew whether or not Murong Yu could stop Patriarch Black Civ's self-detonation. Not even Murong Yu was confident in his ability to do so. If I can't stop Patriarch Black Civ's self-detonation, then I'll immediately enter the Hichu Luoshu world and leave. As this thought flashed through Murong Yu's mind, he sent Little Violet and the Black Dog into the Hichu Luoshu world. The energy within Murong Yu's body began to circulate crazily like raging waves. The millions of roots of the Tree of Life trembled as they absorbed the primal chaos energy drifting between heaven and earth. They quickly replenished Murong Yu's body and became his own energy. Boom! As Murong Yu's energy poured into his body like a storm, the royal armament in Murong Yu's hand suddenly erupted with a dazzling light. The aura of an immortal king erupted from the sword. With the long sword as the center, a terrifying aura spread out in all directions. Murong Yu was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. He was almost blown away by the terrifying aura of the royal armament, and he almost exploded from the pressure. In fact, the sword in Murong Yu's hand almost broke free from his grasp. If it were not for Murong Yu activating the power of the royal armament, Murong Yu would have been blasted away by the aura of the royal armament. Even his grade 5 immortal artifact body would have been shattered. At this moment, Murong Yu felt as if the royal armament in his hand was like a black hole, instantly sucking away all the power in his body. Even though the Tree of Life was madly absorbing the energy of heaven and earth, it was unable to replenish its energy. This was because Murong Yu could sense that any amount of energy the Tree of Life absorbed into Murong Yu's dantian would be devoured by the royal armament in his hand. Without any more energy, the royal armament's power would disappear. Murong Yu knew this very well. Moreover, Patriarch Qing Luo's self-detonation was about to begin. All of this caused Murong Yu to raise his reaction speed to the limit. Swoosh! Murong Yu gripped the sword with both hands and viciously slashed at Patriarch Qing Luo, whose body had swelled to the size of a giant rubber ball. Swoosh! The sharp sound of something tearing through the air rang out as an enormous white sword ray shot out from the royal armament in Murong Yu's hand like a river. The void was directly torn apart, as if it had been cut in half by the sword light. The incomparably large sword light contained a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth. It tore through the void and slashed at Patriarch Qing Luo. Just as Patriarch Qing Luo was about to self-detonate, an intense sense of danger suddenly arose in his heart. Bang! In that instant, Patriarch Blue Siv heard an enormous rumbling sound emanate from his body. Then, his vision went black, and he lost consciousness. What's going on? Before Patriarch Qing Luo's consciousness dissipated, he couldn't help but wonder. Unfortunately, he would never know the answer to that question. Patriarch Qing Luo exploded? When they saw Patriarch Qing Luo about to self-detonate, Zhou Dong and the other arcane immortals of the Nine Heavens had long since been scared out of their wit. They wanted to flee, but they knew they couldn't. Moreover, just as they were about to turn and run, they saw an extremely terrifying sword light shoot up into the sky. It carried with it a terrifying aura that caused them to tremble. It tore through the void and viciously slashed at Patriarch Qing Luo. Patriarch Qing Luo had been on the verge of self-detonation. His body had swelled to the size of a rubber ball, but the sudden appearance of the sword light reduced him to a cloud of blood and gore. Patriarch Qing Luo, a perfected golden immortal who was about to self-detonate, was killed by a single blow? Zhou Dong and the other arcane immortals of the Nine Heavens were dumbfounded. Their faces were filled with disbelief. Everything had happened too quickly. Patriarch Qing Luo's self-detonation had left them no time to react. However, someone else had reacted faster than them. Clang! The sound of metal clashing rang out from afar. Zhou Dong turned his head and saw Murong Yu staggering, as if he couldn't stand steadily. Beneath his feet was a long sword that emanated an aura that caused them to tremble. His reaction is much faster than ours. Shock flashed across the faces of Zhou Dong and the others. They had clearly seen Murong Yu slash out that sword ray. How could an august immortal's reaction be faster than them, arcane immortals of the Nine Heavens? This caused them to be overwhelmed with shock, but at the same time, they also completely submitted to Murong Yu. Perhaps Murong Yu's accomplishments weren't accidental, but inevitable. From this incident alone, they could see that although Murong Yu was only an august immortal, he was stronger than arcane immortals of the Nine Heavens in certain aspects. This time, Zhou Dong and the others were thoroughly convinced. Perhaps it was because of Murong Yu's immortal expansion pill and the fact that their souls were under Murong Yu's control that they had no choice but to submit, but they weren't truly convinced. After today, they would be unswervingly loyal to Murong Yu. Not only because Murong Yu had saved their lives, but also because Murong Yu's performance had won them over. "Master, are you all right?" When Zhou Dong and the others saw Murong Yu staggering unsteadily, they were shocked. They immediately flew over and asked with concern. This was the first time they'd ever called Murong Yu their master, and they'd done so with complete conviction. "I'm fine. I'm just a little exhausted." Murong Yu shook his head, but a smile appeared on his face. It wasn't just because he'd stopped Patriarch Black Siv's self-detonation, but also because Zhou Dong and the others had truly submitted to him. Kill everyone from the Black Siv sect. By now, Murong Yu had recovered somewhat thanks to the Tree of Life's frantic absorption of energy. At the very least, he no longer showed signs of exhaustion. The 4 arcane immortals of the 9 heavens nodded, then charged forward to slaughter the Black Siv sect disciples. As for Zhou Dong, he stayed by Murong Yu's side to protect him and prevent any mishaps. Without the experts from the Immortal Palace, and without the self-detonation of the golden immortals of the Great Firmament, the 4 arcane immortals of the 9 heavens dutifully carried out Murong Yu's orders and slaughtered all of the Black Siv sect disciples. Murong Yu had long since sentenced the Black Siv sect to death in the immortal world. From the moment Patriarch Black Siv had sent Suda and the others to the lower realm to hunt him down, the Black Siv sect's destruction had been foreordained. This was the first sect Murong Yu had destroyed in the immortal world, and the first battle of his rise to prominence in the immortal world. He would use the blood of immortals to help him reach the pinnacle. Kill one to warn 100, knock the mountain to warn the tiger. Destroying the Black Siv sect wasn't just because Murong Yu had a grudge against them, or because it was a mission from the Heavenly Punisher Palace. It was also Murong Yu's method of intimidating the various sects of the immortal world. A mere ascendant immortal had destroyed a sect that had a golden immortal of the Great Firmament, and even a 9 heavens arcane immortal from the Immortal Palace. And he was only an ascendant immortal. What if he reached an even higher level? He would be able to kill immortal kings, immortal monarchs, and immortal emperors. When news of Murong Yu's destruction of the Black Siv sect spread, all of Jian province, and even the neighboring provinces, were shocked. Because of Murong Yu's strength and the destruction of the Black Siv sect. At the same time, news of Murong Yu's recent ascension to the immortal world began to spread throughout Jian province. At the same time, news of the Black Siv sect disciples descending to the immortal world and forming a grudge against Murong Yu spread like wildfire. An immortal from the immortal world destroyed the Black Siv sect in a few short years. He even had a 9 heavens arcane immortal by his side. Just where did he come from? How could he be so terrifying? Everyone was shocked by Murong Yu's identity, and even more curious about Murong Yu's background. However, very few people knew that Murong Yu was a Punisher. After all, Murong Yu's visit to the Heavenly Punisher Palace after becoming a Punisher was kept a secret. He's only recently ascended, but he already has the power to destroy the Black Siv sect. He's terrifying. Perhaps he's joined some great sect, and the destruction of the Black Siv sect was caused by the power of the sect behind him. No matter what, he's terrifying. We can't afford to provoke him. Some of the sects had seen how terrifying Murong Yu was, and decided not to provoke him. The Black Siv sect was a subsidiary sect of the Immortal Palace. If Murong Yu dared to destroy a subsidiary sect of the Immortal Palace, then Murong Yu didn't fear the Immortal Palace at all. Perhaps Murong Yu's backer was the same as the Immortal Palace's, or perhaps Murong Yu had nothing to lose and was not afraid of wearing shoes. However, no matter what the situation was, if he didn't fear the Immortal Palace, how many powers would dare to provoke him? For the first time, Murong Yu's name began to circulate throughout Jian province and the other great provinces. At the same time, a superpower was furious because of the destruction of the Black Siv sect. It was the Immortal Palace. Chapter 431. Murong Yu. What a good show of intimidation. When the people of the Immortal Palace learned that the Black Civ sect had been destroyed, they were furious. But when it came to Murong Yu, who had destroyed the Black Civ sect, they were filled with murderous intent. There was no way they weren't familiar with Murong Yu. Although they had sent the disciples of the Black Civ sect to the lower realm to kill Murong Yu and seize the Hichu Luoshu, the people of the Immortal Palace hadn't done it themselves. But they were very familiar with Murong Yu. Not only did Murong Yu have the Hichu Luoshu, but he also had the Yin-Yang flame and an ancient cauldron. Although they didn't know what an ancient cauldron was, the people of the Immortal Palace were well aware of Murong Yu's Yin-Yang flame. Moreover, the Immortal Palace knew that Murong Yu had burned down the Immortal sect. If the Immortal Palace wanted information about a person from the lower realm, it would be as easy as blowing off dust. Therefore, when the people of the Immortal Palace found out that Murong Yu had destroyed the Black Civ sect, they knew what Murong Yu's real plan was: to intimidate. This made the people of the Immortal Palace very angry. The Immortal Palace was one of the 3 giants of the Immortal Realm. How could they not be angry that a mere exalted immortal had intimidated them? If the other party had been a superpower, or even a first-rate power, the Immortal Palace wouldn't have been so angry. But Murong Yu was too weak. With such weak strength, he had dared to intimidate the Immortal Palace and kill the chicken to warn the monkey. Where would the dignity of the Immortal Palace go? If this matter was set in motion, would there be more people who would dare to treat the Immortal Palace this way in the future? Would the Immortal Palace be looked down upon? Send out the experts of the Immortal Palace. They must capture Murong Yu. An elder of the Immortal Palace was furious. Even though the palace master of the Immortal Palace, the Immortal Emperor, was aware of this matter, there was no need for the Immortal Emperor to personally deal with a mere ascendant immortal. When we were in the lower worlds, Murong Yu had a close relationship with the enforcers of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Presumably, he also has a certain relationship with the Heavenly Punisher Palace. If we, the people of the Immortal Palace, directly take action, will it cause a conflict between the 2 forces? An elder of the Immortal Palace frowned and said, "Heavenly Punisher Palace." The first elder frowned. Although the Heavenly Punishing Palace was hidden in the dark, they knew how terrifying the strength of the Heavenly Punishing Palace was. Usually, although there was friction between the 2 forces, it was usually a battle between the subsidiary forces. Generally, the people of the Immortal Palace rarely got involved. It was not that the people of the Immortal Palace were afraid of the Heavenly Penalty Palace. It was just that once the conflict between the 2 sides was triggered, both sides would suffer heavy losses. There was no need to do so now. We just need to ask the affiliated sects of the Immortal Palace to take action. Although Murong Yu was strong, there was still a limit to his strength. If only the experts of the Immortal King Realm were to take action, he would undoubtedly die, another elder said in a low voice. Moreover, if we, the Immortal Palace, directly take action, I'm afraid it will arouse suspicion. When the time comes, if the other forces also take action, I'm afraid it won't be good for us to seize the Hichu Luoshu. In that case, the people of the Immortal Palace don't have to take action directly. This way, even if Murong Yu has a relationship with the people of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, I'm afraid the Heavenly Punisher Palace won't dare to take action so brazenly, the elder who had given the order said with a cold smile. Although these super sects were incomparably glorious, their every move was monitored by the other forces. Even if they only mobilized the most ordinary disciples, they would not be able to hide it from the other forces. Not long after, the sects of the Immortal Palace received orders from the Immortal Palace to take down Murong Yu at all costs. As the Immortal Palace flew into a thunderous rage and sent out their subordinate sects to take down Murong Yu had already plundered all of the Black Civ sect's treasures and left Jian province. By the time the experts of the subordinate sects of the Immortal Palace arrived in Jian province, they had already lost track of Murong Yu. At the same time, Murong Yu was taking inventory of the things he'd taken from the Black Civ sect. Immortal meridians, immortal pills, divine weapons. The Black Civ sect is really rich. Zodong grinned as he counted the spoils. There were many ordinary immortal items, at least 10,000 of them. There were even 10 ninth-grade immortal items. In addition, there were also large quantities of various immortal pills, and even 100 immortal meridians. The wealth of the Black Civ sect far surpasses that of other sects of the same level. Even some third-rate sects can't compare to the Black Civ sect. Zodong and the others knew more about the sects of the immortal realm than Murong Yu did. Therefore, when they saw the Black Civ sect's treasures, they spoke as such. Presumably, these are all gifts from the Immortal Palace, Murong Yu said with a cold laugh. If these weren't gifts from the Immortal Palace, how could the Black Civ sect have so many divine weapons and immortal meridians? It must be understood that some sects of the immortal realm didn't even know what an immortal meridian looked like. The Immortal Palace is so rich and overbearing, said one of the arcane immortals of the 9 heavens with a sigh. Murong Yu laughed coldly. To a colossus like the Immortal Palace, these things are nothing more than a grain of sand in the Ganges River. As one of the 3 giants of the immortal realm, they've dominated the immortal realm for so many years. The true wealth of the Immortal Palace must be astonishing. It's an amount we can't even begin to imagine. Zodong and the others nodded. Although they didn't know exactly how terrifying the Immortal Palace's wealth was, they could vaguely imagine. If the Immortal Palace is so generous to its subordinate sects, then we have a way to make money. Murong Yu's mind spun. Rob the subordinate sects of the Immortal Palace? Zodong and the others' eyes flashed. The Immortal Palace is one of the 3 giants of the immortal realm. Aside from the Black Civ sect, its other subordinate sects shouldn't be weak. At the very least, they should be third-rate powers. With our current strength, we can't touch them. Murong Yu shook his head, rejecting his own plan. We've already completed one of the 3 missions. There's still one mission left: exterminating the bandits and investigating the mysterious disappearance of the Immortal Palace's palace master. Which mission should we do first? Murong Yu muttered to himself. The remaining 2 missions were clearly about exterminating the bandit. They were relatively easy to complete. However, this was based on the fact that Murong Yu had the Xian Immortal of the 9 heavens as his subordinate. In truth, for the current Murong Yu, these 3 missions were impossible to complete. After all, he was only an ascendant immortal. When the Heavenly Punisher Palace gave him these 3 missions, they probably didn't take into account that Murong Yu had the Xian Immortal of the 9 heavens as his subordinate. However, if the bandits were able to exterminate a few unranked sects, it was likely that they also had a Xian Immortal of the 9 heavens among them. After all, the Heavenly Punisher Palace didn't explain what kind of experts those unranked sects had. If they could easily exterminate a sect like the Black Civ sect, then the bandits would be even more powerful. However, if these bandits really only exterminated a few unranked sects, would the Heavenly Punisher Palace really eradicate them? Murong Yu expressed his doubts. This was because, of the 3 missions Murong Yu had received, 2 of them were related to the Heavenly Punisher Palace's interests. Given the Heavenly Punisher Palace's way of doing things, if the bandits hadn't harmed their interests, why would they exterminate them? There must be something fishy about this. These bandits must have harmed the Heavenly Punisher Palace's interests. However, it wasn't too serious. Otherwise, the Heavenly Punisher Palace would have sent experts to exterminate them long ago. They wouldn't have become Murong Yu's missions. Where did these bandits come from? Murong Yu's interest was piqued. His figure flashed, and he disappeared from where he stood. When he reappeared, he was already in the vicinity of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. The bandits were in the South Ridge region. Murong Yu had to return to the South Ridge region first before he could make contact with them. The key question now was whether he should return to the Heavenly Punisher Palace to hand in his mission, or exterminate the bandits first. I'll return to hand in my mission first, then exchange it for information on the bandit. Murong Yu muttered to himself for a moment, then decided to return to the Heavenly Punisher Palace first. Mount Wuji, within one of the contribution palaces. What? You've already exterminated the Black Civ sect? When Murong Yu handed in his mission, the Heavenly Punisher Palace elder in charge of the mission couldn't help but cry out in alarm. He couldn't help but find it hard to believe. Murong Yu was only an ascendant immortal. How could he exterminate the Black Civ sect, which had a golden immortal of the great firmament overseeing it? That's right. In addition, there were 3 Nine Heavens Xian immortals from the Immortal Palace. Apart from the disciples who weren't in the Black Civ sect, not a single one of them was able to escape. They were all killed. Murong Yu said coolly. The Heavenly Punisher Palace's elder looked at Murong Yu in bewilderment. He simply couldn't believe it. We still need to confirm this matter. Come back here in half a day. With these words, the Heavenly Punisher Palace elder hurriedly left and entered the back of the palace. Murong Yu shrugged. He didn't have any objections to this. After all, this was the normal procedure. Before half a day had passed, a disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace found Murong Yu and brought him to a building behind the palace. The Black Civ sect was exterminated, along with the 3 Nine Heavens Xian immortals from the Immortal Palace. Your mission should be considered complete. But how did you, an ascendant immortal, accomplish it? I heard that there were 9 Heavens Xian immortals helping you? The Heavenly Punisher Palace elder stared at Murong Yu and asked. Those 9 Heavens Xian immortals were my friends. Elder, this mission didn't say that I couldn't ask for help, right? I should be considered to have completed the mission, right? Murong Yu said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner. Of course. As long as you have the ability, you can ask any expert to help you complete the mission. The elder nodded. So, can I go now? Murong Yu didn't want to stay here any longer. He had a nagging feeling that someone was secretly spying on him, which made him feel very uncomfortable. This kid ascended from the cultivation world not long ago. Although he has a close relationship with Yang Lin didn't do anything. How did he make friends with people with decent strength? After Murong Yu left, the elder spoke in a low voice. At the same time, the hall flashed and several figures appeared out of thin air. Chapter 432. This is a strange kid. An old man who had just appeared in the hall said with a smile. This kid has secrets. He has just ascended, but he was able to get acquainted with a 9 Heavens Xian immortal realm immortal. Does this mean that he is very popular, or does he have powerful means? Another old man said. This kid does have secrets. Moreover, he has just ascended not long ago, but his strength has already increased to the mighty immortal realm. It has even been less than 1,000 years since he went from a mortal to his current realm. He went from a mortal to a mighty immortal realm in just a few hundred years? The other old men's faces showed surprise and disbelief. They were experienced people and knew that it was not easy to increase one's strength. That's right. We have investigated Murong Yu's background in detail. The previous enforcer of Huaxia's world of cultivators, Yang Lin, also paid special attention to this kid. He went from a mortal to a mighty immortal realm in just a few hundred years. This kid is really amazing. However, could he really reach such a high level in such a short period of time? Could it be that he used elixirs to increase his strength? An old man said doubtfully. His foundation is very solid and he is not impetuous at all. He definitely did not rely on elixirs to increase his strength. If that is the case, then this kid's aptitude is too heaven-defying. If that is the case, our Heavenly Punisher Palace will soon have a heaven-defying guy. I have a hunch that this kid will definitely bring us, and even the Heavenly Punisher Palace, some surprises. If Murong Yu's aptitude was really so heaven-defying, it would naturally bring them a surprise. This kid is worth training, an old man said. Murong Yu, who had already left the hall, did not know that these old men were talking about him behind his back. He had also become the focus of these old men. At this time, he was in another hall. As the saying goes, know thyself and know thy enemy, and you will be victorious in every battle. Although the bandits did not look like much, it was hard to say that they were not strong. Murong-yu needed their information in order to know the enemy as well as himself. I thought 10,000 points were a lot, but the information about these bandits cost 100 points. Murong-yu's face showed a painful expression. After he became the enforcer of Huaxia's world of cultivators, he directly had 10,000 points. He originally thought that the points were a lot, but now he realized that 10,000 points were simply insignificant. It was too little. There wasn't much information about those bandits. It only explained their location and introduced the information that the Heavenly Penalty Palace had on those bandits. 9 Heaven Xian Immortals and 20 Almighty Immortals? When Murong-yu saw the information of these bandits, he could not help but reveal a look of surprise. 9 Heaven Xian Immortals and 20 Perfected Golden Immortals were the standard arrangement of a third-rate force in the immortal world. In other words, this bandit was a third-rate force. If I'm truly alone, I'm afraid that I can only complete these missions before the 1,000-year deadline. Or perhaps, I won't be able to complete them within 1,000 years. Murong-yu muttered to himself as he pondered. Would his strength be able to reach the 9 Heaven Xian immortal realm within 1,000 years? Only by reaching that stage would he have the power to exterminate the Black Civ sect, as well as these bandits. However, Murong-yu himself did not have the confidence to reach the 9 Heaven Xian immortal realm within 1,000 years. After all, the realms in the immortal world were different from those in the cultivation world. In each realm, there were countless immortals who were unable to break through. Although Murong-yu knew that he would definitely break through to the 9 Heaven Xian immortal realm by practicing the chaotic celestial records, who could guarantee that he would break through? The chaotic celestial records was really too difficult to practice. However, Murong-yu now had more than a dozen 9 Heaven Xian immortals under his command. If there were no accidents, they would be more than enough to deal with these bandits. I'll also take a look at what I can exchange for with 10,000 points. Murong-yu began to inquire about the items in the main hall. A royal weapon. It costs 10 million points. Murong-yu inquired about the exchange rate for a divine weapon. When he looked at it, he almost fainted from shock. 10 million points to exchange for a royal weapon. This was really too much. Murong-yu was stunned. His 10,000 points couldn't even be exchanged for a corner of a royal weapon. I wonder if there are any monarch weapons or emperor weapons to exchange? Murong-yu continued to inquire. Not long after, he was shocked again. There really are monarch weapons to exchange, but the points. Murong-yu was speechless. Monarch weapons could be exchanged, but the points required were too high. The points required to exchange for a monarch weapon were 10,000 times the points required to exchange for a monarch weapon. In other words, if he wanted to exchange for a monarch weapon, he would need at least 100 billion points. I really wonder if there's anyone in the Heavenly Penalty Palace who can exchange for a monarch weapon with points. That's 100 billion points. How many missions do you need to complete to accumulate that much? Murong-yu was simply speechless. Previously, he had inquired about some missions and found that the points required to complete those missions were too little. There were only a few dozen, a few hundred, or a few thousand points. If a mission required a few thousand points, when would he be able to accumulate 100 billion points? He was afraid that by the time he had accumulated so many points, his realm wouldn't just be at the immortal monarch realm. Murong-yu was speechless. I wonder if there are any emperor weapons to exchange? Murong-yu continued to inquire. However, no matter how hard he looked, he couldn't find any information about exchanging for emperor weapons. Emperor weapons, those are emperor weapons. Even if there are emperor weapons, The people in the Heavenly Penalty Palace wouldn't be able to exchange for them. Moreover, there aren't many Emperor weapons in the immortal world. Even if the Heavenly Penalty Palace has an Emperor weapon, I'm afraid that it would be a sect treasure. How could they take it out for others to exchange for it? After that, Morongyu looked at some other items to exchange for and found that his 10,000 points were really useless. At first, I thought that the Heavenly Penalty Palace was really generous. It seems like that's not the case. Morongyu rolled his eyes and despised the Heavenly Penalty Palace. His 10,000 points could only be exchanged for some unimportant information, immortal pills, spiritual materials, and so on. It was impossible to exchange for anything good. Everything requires one's own effort. It's impossible to exchange for good things with the Heavenly Penalty Palace's points. Morongyu dispelled the idea of doing Heavenly Penalty Palace missions to increase his contribution point. If that was the case, he would be busy with missions all day long. If he had that time, he might as well use it for cultivation. Once he became strong enough, he wouldn't have to worry about not having enough resources. Besides, the treasures in Morongyu's hands were definitely superior to Emperor weapons. He didn't need to exchange for Emperor weapons or the like. He didn't even need those pills. First, I'll deal with those bandits. Then, I'll investigate the mysterious disappearance of the palace master of the Feng province branch. Morongyu left Mount Wuji. He didn't even go back to the manor. He left the Heavenly Penalty Palace directly. Not long after he left the Heavenly Penalty Palace, his figure flashed and he entered the Hichu Luoshu world. Hichu, how's the devouring of those immortal weapons coming along? Morongyu asked when he found Hichu. After destroying the Black Civ sect, Morongyu had given the rest of the immortal weapons to Hichu, with the exception of the 9th grade and 8th grade immortal weapons. In the Immortal Necropolis, Morongyu had obtained one of the 4 immortal swords, the Demortis sword. However, the Demortis sword was only a damaged immortal sword. If it wanted to recover, it would have to devour a large number of weapons and magic treasures. Before, Morongyu hadn't had any immortal weapons for the Demortis sword to devour. After destroying the Black Civ sect, he'd obtained more than 10,000 immortal weapons of various grades. It's better than expected, Hichu said with a smile. After devouring a few thousand immortal weapons, the Demortis sword has recovered a portion of its strength. It's now a 5th grade immortal weapon. Only a 5th grade immortal weapon? Morongyu frowned. Although the Demortis sword had only devoured a few thousand immortal weapons to reach the 5th grade immortal weapon level, one shouldn't forget that the higher the grade of the immortal weapon, the more immortal weapons it would need to devour, and the higher the grade of the weapons. After reaching the 5th grade immortal weapon level, the Demortis sword wouldn't be able to recover by devouring any immortal weapons below the 5th grade level. The immortal weapons it had obtained from the Black Civ sect might only be able to raise the Demortis sword to the 7th grade level. What level is the Demortis sword? Is it an imperial weapon? Morongyu frowned, looking at Hichu. He'd asked Hichu this question before, and Hichu's answer was that although the 4 immortal swords were called immortal swords, they surpassed immortal weapons. Imperial weapon? Perhaps. If it wants to recover to its peak, I'm afraid it'll need to devour an imperial weapon. Devour an imperial weapon? Morongyu was shocked. Where would he get an imperial weapon for the Demortis sword to devour? Even if he did, he wouldn't let the Demortis sword devour it. After all, imperial weapons were already the most powerful weapons in the immortal world. Could the Demortis sword be a divine weapon? I can only tell you that even if the Demortis sword isn't as good as the Bow of Heaven and Earth and the Yin-Yang Cauldron, it's definitely as strong as an imperial weapon. Hichu smiled. Could it really be a divine weapon? Morongyu frowned. If it really was a divine weapon, it would be worth it to let his imperial weapon devour it. Alright, you continue to help the Demortis sword devour immortal weapons. I'll go take a look at the bandits. Morongyu left Hichu Luoshu, taking Little Purple, the big black dog, and Zodong with him. The bandits were in the south of Lingnan province, far away from the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Murong Yu hadn't been there before, so he could only walk there. Lingnan province was huge, many times larger than the entire Huaxia cultivation world. Just take it as a tour of the immortal world. Murong Yu smiled. It was because of this that he'd brought the big black dog and Little Purple out of Hichu, Luoshu world. To Murong Yu and the big black dog, everything in the immortal world was unfamiliar. And to Little Purple, who was only 7 or 8 years old, everything in the immortal world was so new. Little Purple, where did you come from? Looking at the excited Little Purple riding on the big black dog's back, Murong Yu began to suspect her identity. Looking at her, it seemed as if she'd never lived in the immortal world before. It seemed as if she'd ascended from below. Chapter 433. It had been some time since Murong Yu ascended to the immortal world. Although it hadn't been long, he had to start thinking about Shenzhen. Shenzhen had the advantage of numbers. Because of the immortal ascension pill, a large number of immortals had appeared. As time passed, more and more immortals would appear in Shenzhen. With more immortals, Shenzhen would naturally become stronger. However, Murong Yu had become the enforcer of Huaxia's cultivation world. Even if he didn't take special care of Shenzhen, Shenzhen was still the most powerful sect in Huaxia's cultivation world. Therefore, Murong Yu no longer considered Shenzhen's development in the cultivation world. Instead, he set his sights on the immortal world. Moreover, there were many immortals in Shenzhen. However, if they stayed in the cultivation world, it wouldn't be good for them. Because there was no immortal spiritual energy in the cultivation world. If immortals wanted to cultivate, they needed immortal spiritual energy. Without the support of immortal spiritual energy, they couldn't improve their cultivation. In other words, if Shenzhen's immortals didn't ascend to the immortal world, they wouldn't be able to improve their cultivation and become stronger. The longer it took, the more unfavorable it would be for Shenzhen's immortals. Only by ascending to the immortal world could they continue to improve their strength. However, the problem now was that Murong Yu didn't establish a sect in the immortal world. Without a sect, there was no way to settle down Shenzhen's immortals. Could it be that Shenzhen's disciples would fly southeast after ascending to the immortal world? That was impossible. Murong Yu established Shenzhen in the cultivation world. His disciples would never be allowed to leave Shenzhen. However, Murong Yu now had many powerful enemies in the immortal world. If he wanted to establish a Shenzhen, he would probably be destroyed by the immortal palace. With Murong Yu's current strength, it was impossible for him to fight against the immortal palace. Shenzhen must be established. Only after Shenzhen's disciples ascend to the immortal plane will I have the foundation to fight against forces like the immortal palace, Murong Yu said to himself. As long as he ascended to the immortal world, Murong Yu could rely on the immortal expansion pill to elevate Shenzhen to a third-rate sect with a large number of 9 Heavens Xian immortals. However, they needed to find a place to establish their sect. Murong Yu walked all the way to the southern part of Lingnan region. At the same time, he was also looking for a suitable place for the Chaos Shenzhen sect in Lingnan region. However, along the way, Murong Yu found that all the slightly better places had been occupied by some sections. It was extremely difficult to find a good place to establish a sect in Lingnan region. After establishing Shenzhen in the immortal world, will it be attached to the Heavenly Punisher Palace and become a subsidiary sect of the Heavenly Punisher Palace or establish its own sect? Murong Yu frowned slightly. After becoming a subsidiary sect of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, because of Murong Yu, a subsidiary sect like the Chaos Shenzhen was different from ordinary subsidiary sections. It could even become a branch of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. However, in this way, the development of Shenzhen would be restricted by the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Murong Yu shook his head and rejected this idea. Once Shenzhen became a subsidiary sect of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, it would not be a pure chaos Shenzhen. If I establish a completely independent sect, it would not be restricted by the Heavenly Punisher Palace, but it would also not be protected by the Heavenly Punisher Palace. In this way, in the early stages, it would be inappropriate for me, the Holy Lord, to show my face. Once the news of Murong Yu establishing a sect spread out, he was afraid that the people of the Immortal Palace would immediately destroy Shenzhen. First, after destroying that group of bandits, I will go to other large regions to see if there is a suitable place to establish a sect. Murong Yu sped up and arrived at the southern mountains in a few days. The southern mountains was the southern part of the Lingnan region, or even the largest mountain range in the entire Lingnan region. The entire southern mountains almost cut the Lingnan region into two halves. The immortal spiritual energy in the southern mountains is very rich, but why haven't I seen many sects along the way? After entering the southern mountains, Murong Yu saw the rich immortal spiritual energy in the southern mountains. The richness of the immortal spiritual energy was almost comparable to the outside of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. However, with such rich immortal spiritual energy, there were no sects established here? In terms of power, the bandits that Murong Yu wanted to eradicate this time could be considered a group of forces. The Lingnan region is one of the largest regions in the immortal world. There are many forces here and it is very complicated. Almost all the slightly better places have various sects and forces, but the southern mountains has always been without a sect. However, it is said that a long time ago, a sect once appeared in the southern mountains. Zodong frowned slightly and said with some uncertainty. Although Zodong was a 9-heaven Xian immortal, he was not originally from the Lingnan region and his force was not very good. He did not know much about this. There used to be a sect, but now there is no sect? Murong Yu frowned slightly. Zodong shook his head. I am not clear about the real reason. It seems that the southern mountains is a common taboo for all sects in the Lingnan region. No sect dares to establish a sect here. As for the reason, I only heard rumors and do not know what it is. Something is strange. Murong Yu frowned slightly. The southern mountains is a common taboo for all sects in the Lingnan region? If this was true, then there must be something strange in the southern mountains. Or, it could be said that a long time ago, something happened in the southern mountains. These things that happened in the past made all the sects in the Lingnan region not dare to establish a sect here. If this was true, then it could also explain why the southern mountains, which divided the Lingnan region into the northern and southern mountains, only had that group of bandits. If there is really only that group of bandits, then this mission is even more strange. Murong Yu thought to himself. According to the information obtained by the Heavenly Punisher Palace, Murong Yu went directly into the southern mountains. Because that group of bandits sect was in the depths of the southern mountains. As he went deeper, the immortal spirit chi in the southern mountains became denser. Such dense immortal spirit chi, but not many sects dare to establish a sect here. What a pity! Murong Yu shook his head and kept lamenting. No matter what happened in the southern mountains, to the extent that those big sects in the Lingnan region do not dare to establish a sect here. However, it is not my style to leave such a precious place and not use it. After I get rid of these bandits, I will find a good place to establish Shenzhen's sect here. Murong Yu secretly decided on this matter. He did not care what happened here. All he saw now was an incomparably dense immortal spirit chi. Moreover, the other sects did not dare to establish a sect here. Without competition, it would only be beneficial for Shenzhen's development. There are actually people who dare to go deep into the southern mountains? This is something that is hard to come by in 10,000 years. Not far in front of Murong Yu, 2 young men were hiding on top of a mountain peak. They looked at Murong Yu and the others who were slowly walking in with a face of surprise. The southern mountains was a common taboo for all the sects in the Lingnan region. Not only did they not dare to establish a sect here, Even their disciples did not dare to go deep into the southern mountains. For a long time, the southern mountains had become a forbidden area that was not a forbidden area. It had always been a paradise for bandits. It was because the sects in the Lingnan region did not dare to go deep into the Lingnan region that they established their stronghold in the depths of the Lingnan region. It was also because of this that they had not been wiped out. Otherwise, with the bandits' actions, they would have been destroyed by those sects long ago. They were used to no immortals daring to enter the southern mountains. This group of bandits had obviously treated the southern mountains as their territory. Therefore, when they saw Murong Yu and the others daring to go deep into the southern mountains, they were shocked. These people are only in the exalted, immortal realm. One of the young men said disdainfully. Murong Yu was in the exalted, immortal realm. Although Zhou Dong was in the Nine Heavens Xian, immortal realm, he was requested by Murong Yu to suppress his realm to the exalted, immortal realm. Therefore, when the two bandits saw Murong Yu and the others, although they were shocked, they were also full of disdain. Who dares to trespass into the southern mountains? Do you have a death wish? When Murong Yu and the others approached, the two bandits who were on sentry duty rushed out and blocked in front of Murong Yu. You're just a group of bandits. How dare you claim the southern mountains as your own? You're simply courting death. Murong Yu sneered. He did not take these two golden immortal bandits seriously at all. Go back and tell your leader that I'm here to destroy you today. Tell all of you to wash your necks and wait for me. Murong Yu continued to say disdainfully. How preposterous. We've always been the ones robbing, burning, killing, and plundering. Today, someone says that he wants to destroy us. He's even an exalted immortal? I'm going to die of laughter. One of the bandits laughed out loud. Obviously, he did not take Murong Yu's words seriously. I haven't gone out for a long time. My hands are itching. Today I'll kill you all. There's also a large black dog. Hee, as the saying goes, when dog meat rolls, even immortals can't stand still. Today, I'll kill immortals, slaughter dogs, and eat dog meat. One of the bandits laughed savagely, and charged toward Murong Yu. Woof! Curs, Lord Heavenly Dog will swallow you all. Hearing this, the large black dog was instantly enraged. With a loud bark, he jumped out and pounced toward the golden immortal bandit. Generally speaking, if the large black dog was called a dog, the large black dog would be displeased. What more if he wanted to slaughter and eat his dog meat? This was definitely his reverse scale. You're courting death. The bandit sneered disdainfully. He shot out a palm strike toward the large black dog's head, wanting to kill him directly. You want to eat Lord Heavenly Dog? Lord Heavenly Dog will eat you. The large black dog was furious. He turned into a flash of black light and shot over. During this process, he suddenly opened his mouth. Gotcha! There was a sound that sounded like glass shattering, and a massive black hole was instantly bitten into the void in front of the large black dog. Meanwhile, that bandit was directly swallowed by the large black dog. He was eaten by a dog? How is this possible? Seeing that his companion had actually been swallowed by the large black dog, the remaining bandit was shocked. There was an expression of disbelief on his face. Chapter 434. The large black dog swallowed the golden celestial stage bandit in a single gulp, causing the other bandit to instantly pale with fright. Even though he had seen his companion being swallowed with his own eyes, this bandit still couldn't believe his eyes. No matter how he looked at it, this large black dog was only an ordinary dog. However, this ordinary dog actually possessed such a terrifying mystical power? A golden celestial stage bandit had actually been swallowed before he even had time to react? The large black dog was a heavenly dog, and he possessed the innate mystical power of devouring. Ever since he had ascended to the celestial realm with Murong Yu, his strength had also rapidly increased. At this moment, the large black dog could swallow golden celestials in a single gulp. Even if he wasn't as strong as Murong-yu, he was still close. This guy had never cultivated before, so even Murong-yu was astonished by his rapid growth in strength. The heavenly dogs had never cultivated before, and their cultivation relied entirely on devouring. This was what the large black dog said to Murong-yu. Only now did Murong-yu feel relieved. After ascending to the celestial realm, the large black dog had already devoured many celestials. The reason why his strength had increased so quickly was most likely because he had digested those celestials. This large black dog is really too terrifying. Another bandit looked at the large black dog with an expression of horror on his face. At the same time, he shouted loudly as he turned around and ran toward the bandit's lair. Woof! The large black dog barked loudly, and his figure flashed as he transformed into a streak of black light and pounced toward the bandit. During this process, he opened his mouth again and viciously bit down. This bandit released a miserable cry, and then he was swallowed alive by the large black dog. You're courting death. The large black dog seemed to still be angry. The bandit's miserable cry finally attracted the attention of the other bandits in the bandit's lair. Right after the large black dog swallowed that bandit, multiple powerful divine senses swept over from the bandit's lair. Murong-yu waved a hand, and 5 figures instantly appeared beside him. Kill them all, leave no one alive, Murong-yu shouted coldly. The 5 figures that had just appeared didn't even have time to steady themselves before they soared into the air and charged toward the bandit's lair. These were 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals. Ever since Murong-yu received this mission, he had decided to exterminate this group of bandit. After all, these people were all evil bandit. However, according to the information from the Heavenly Punisher Palace, there were 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals among the bandit. Therefore, Murong-yu sent 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals. The 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals did not hesitate. They immediately flew above the thieves' lair and unleashed a terrifying force. They reached out their hands and slapped the thieves' lair. Rumble! The attacks of the 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals were swift and violent. Their terrifying chi even crushed some of the weaker bandit. The 5 giant hands shattered the void and slammed down with a terrifying aura that could destroy the world. After an earth-shattering explosion, the bandits' lair instantly turned into a mess. Countless bandits were directly killed. Suddenly, the bandits' lair was in chaos and countless bandits left. Because of the Nanling Mountains, no one had ever dared to destroy this den of thieves. Because the disciples of the big sects in the Nanling Mountains had never dared to go deep into the Nanling Mountains. The bandits' lair was in the depths of the Nanling Mountains. Apart from the bandits, no one else would come here. Therefore, they basically did not have anyone patrolling. Once they were attacked, the entire bandits' lair was in chaos. The 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals did not care about these bandits. Their mission was only to destroy the entire bandits' lair. Who dares to make trouble in the Blackwind stronghold? An angry roar came from the depths of the bandits' lair. At the same time, 5 figures soared into the sky and rushed toward the 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals in the void. The 5 leaders have finally made their move. Seeing the 5 leaders in the void, the bandits who were dizzy from the killing immediately burst into tears. Kill them! Kill all these intruders! The bandits on the ground shouted one by one. They had always been the ones who killed people. When had others killed them? Therefore, when their 5 fort masters made their move, their banditry nature was exposed. Blackwind Stronghold's 5 stronghold masters, 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals. Murong-yu sneered as he looked at the Blackwind stronghold master, who was brimming with killing intent. With a wave of his hand, 10 figures appeared beside Murong-yu out of thin air. Leave no ordinary bandits alive. Leave at least one of the 5 leaders alive, Murong-yu said indifferently as he looked at the 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold in the void. The reason why Murong-yu wanted them alive was because he wanted to know the secret of the Nanling Mountains. and the possible relationship between these bandits and the Heavenly Penalty Palace. 16 Nine Heaven Xian Immortals. The 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold exclaimed when they saw the 10 immortals appear beside Murongyu out of thin air. Including Zodong, there were 16 Nine Heaven Xian Immortals on Murongyu's side. Just the number of 9 Heaven Xian Immortals was enough to suppress the experts of the Blackwind stronghold. How did these people appear out of thin air? Who are they? At this moment, the 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold were very shocked. They all looked at Murongyu's side with uncertainty. Although Zodong and the others were 9 Heaven Xian Immortals, the 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold were not idiot. They could tell at a glance that Murongyu was the one in charge. This young man who is only an exalted immortal is definitely not simple. Could he be a disciple of a big power in the Lingnan region? If not, how could he have so many 9 Heaven Xian Immortals under him? If he is not a disciple of a big power, why would the experts they sent out just happen to be 9 Heaven Xian Immortals? However, all the powers in the Lingnan region don't dare to go deep into the Nanling Mountains. Why would they dare to go deep? Could it be that they are not from the Lingnan region? But it shouldn't be. Even if they are not from the Lingnan region, they wouldn't dare to enter the Nanling Mountains, right? Who are you people? The leader of the Blackwind stronghold's power surged. Waves of terrifying aura constantly erupted. He looked through the 9 Heaven Xian Immortals and stared at Murongyu. The 9 Heaven Xian Immortals surrounded them from afar but did not attack. This was because Murongyu had ordered them to keep them alive. The people who will kill you, Murongyu said lightly. How dare you enter the Nanling Mountains? Aren't you afraid of being killed? The 3rd leader of the Blackwind stronghold sneered. Killed? Murongyu frowned slightly. There is indeed something wrong with the Nanling Mountains, and it seems that these leaders know something. The more these people knew something, the more Murongyu wanted to take them down. This was because the secret of the Nanling Mountains was related to the development of the Chaos Shenzhen. If he did not know the secret of the Nanling Mountains, that even the disciples of the other big sects in the Lingnan region did not dare to enter, Murongyu would not dare to rashly establish the Chaos Shenzhen sect here. Otherwise, once something happened, the Shenzhen sect would be destroyed at any time. Take them down and kill all the other bandits, Murongyu ordered coldly. Brothers, run! The moment Murongyu gave the order, the 1st leader of the Blackwind stronghold roared and turned to flee. The other 4 chieftains seemed to have a tacit understanding as well. Before the head chieftain's voice had even faded away, they had already retreated. Want to run? Let's see where you can run to. More than 10 Nine Heaven Xian Immortals had already locked onto the 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold. The moment they fled, they attacked at the same time. The power of 15 Nine Heaven Xian Immortals attacking at the same time was very terrifying. Rumble, a large area of the void was directly shattered by their power. After the terrifying power shattered the void, it enveloped the world and directly bombarded the bodies of the 5 castellans. The 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold were very powerful. One of them had even reached the mid-stage 9 Heaven Xian Immortal realm. However, they were facing 15 Nine Heaven Xian Immortals attacking at the same time. In other words, each of them had to block the attacks of 3 Nine Heaven Xian Immortals. The 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold were indeed extraordinary. They managed to block the first and second wave of attacks from the 15 Nine Heaven Xian Immortals. However, how could it be so easy to block the attacks of 15 Nine Heaven Xian Immortals? When the third wave of attacks arrived, they still had not broken out of the encirclement. They could only choose to face it head-on. Bang! 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 The 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold were sent flying by the explosive power of the 15 Nine Heavens Xian Immortals. They spat out blood in the air, and seemed to be severely injured. "Take them down!" One of the 9 Heaven Xian Immortals shouted and slapped the 5th bandit chief. A terrifying power rushed into the fifth bandit chief's body and instantly destroyed his meridians. At the same time, the other 9 Heaven Xian immortals also made their moves and took down the remaining 4 leaders. While the 9 Heaven Xian immortals made their moves, Zhou Dong had also left Murong Yu's side and began to kill the ordinary bandits of the Blackwind stronghold. Although the Blackwind stronghold had many great overarching golden celestials and overarching heavenly supreme celestials, they could not withstand a single blow from the 9 Heavens Xian immortals. They were instantly killed. It did not take long for the thousands of bandits of the Blackwind stronghold to be wiped out. Apart from the 5 9 Heavens Xian immortals who were taken down, none of the bandits fled. After the battle, the Blackwind stronghold had 50 great overarching golden celestials and 200 overarching heavenly supreme celestials. Most of the bandits were golden celestials and Xian immortals, but there were not many heavenly celestials and exalted celestials. When Murong Yu learned about the Blackwind stronghold's strength, he could not help but sigh inwardly. Their strength has surpassed the strength of an ordinary third-rate force. Even an ordinary third-rate force is no match for the Blackwind stronghold, let alone an unrated force. Due to the Southern Ridge, the disciples of the major forces in the Southern Ridge Prefecture did not dare to enter the Southern Ridge. This was why the Blackwind stronghold had grown so powerful. Pack up everything you can and bring it with you, Murong Yu ordered Zhou Dong before he entered the Hichu Luoshu world. He was curious about the secret of the Southern Ridge. Chapter 435. In the Hichu Luoshu world, the 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold were lying on the ground and groaning. They were all 9 Heaven Xian immortals, but they were captured by Murong Yu's people. Their meridians were destroyed and they became cripples. However, when Murong Yu came closer, the leaders of the Blackwind stronghold all revealed a ferocious expression as they glared at Murong Yu. Towards the person who destroyed the Blackwind stronghold and captured them, they naturally hated Murong Yu to the core. They wanted nothing more than to tear Murong Yu apart. Murong Yu walked over and glanced at them indifferently before saying, "I'm very curious. The Southern Mountain Range is the forbidden area of the Southern Mountain region. No one dares to enter. You guys actually dared to build the Blackwind stronghold in the depths of the Southern Mountain Range?" "Humph." The leaders of the Blackwind stronghold snorted and turned their heads away. They couldn't be bothered to look at Murong Yu. Seeing that the 5 of them didn't cooperate, Murong Yu couldn't help but sneer. "I advise you guys to cooperate. Otherwise, I don't mind reading your memories." "Oh right, the memory reading method I know has a huge flaw. After reading your memories, you won't die, but you'll become an idiot." The bodies of the 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold trembled, and their eyes revealed a look of fear. They weren't afraid of death, but if they became an idiot, thinking about how they were originally 9 Heaven Xian immortals, they couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. "Even if we die, we won't let you have your way." The leader of the Blackwind stronghold looked at Murong Yu and said angrily, "Die? I want to see how you guys will die." Murong Yu sneered. Not only did he cripple these people's powers, but he also directly imprisoned them. In other words, other than being able to speak, they couldn't do anything else. Even if they wanted to commit suicide, it was impossible. The 5 leaders of the Blackwind stronghold were silent. "What secrets does the Southern Mountain Range have?" Seeing their silence, Murong Yu sneered in his heart. He did not believe that these people would not compromise. The 5 fort masters of the Blackwind stockade looked at each other and saw the compromise in each other's eyes. They also saw the surprise in each other's eyes. He actually doesn't know the secret of the Southern Mountain Range? The 5 of them were greatly surprised. In fact, the secret of the Southern Mountains was not a secret in the Southern Mountains region. The Southern Mountain Range is the graveyard of experts. Any expert of the Immortal King realm or above who enters the Southern Mountain Range will be killed for no reason. There is no possibility of leaving alive. The Blackwind Stronghold's chief said. Cultivators of the Celestial King Realm or above will be killed if they enter the southern mountains. Murong Yu frowned slightly. Could it be that there was some kind of rule here? However, this also explained why no one from the major sects dared to enter the southern mountains. Cultivators of the Celestial King Realm could not enter. Cultivators of the Nine Heavens Xian, Immortal Realm, could not do anything to the Blackwind stronghold. They would even be killed by the people of the Blackwind stronghold. No wonder the southern mountain range's immortal spiritual energy is so dense, but no major sects have established a sect here. So that's why. However, what is in the southern mountain range? Murong Yu pondered in his heart and asked at the same time. No one knows what is in the southern mountain range. Who killed those cultivators of the Celestial King Realm or above? This is an unsolved mystery. The Blackwind Stronghold's chief said. You don't even know those major sects? Maybe you do, but we don't know. The third chief said. Could it be that you really don't know those major sects? Then the Heavenly Punisher Palace's mission to exterminate the Blackwind Stronghold is to investigate the secret of the southern mountain range, or is it really just to kill the bandits of the Blackwind Stronghold? What is your relationship with the Heavenly Punisher Palace? Heavenly Punisher Palace? You're talking about the Heavenly Punisher Palace, right? As soon as Murong Yu finished speaking, the fifth chief could not help but sneer. So you're from the Heavenly Punisher Palace, TSK. Those bastards don't dare to go deep into the southern mountain range, but they sent you to your death? If I'm not wrong, one of your missions is to exterminate the Blackwind Stronghold, right? Murong Yu's eyes flashed. You know about the Heavenly Punisher Palace? Murong Yu was truly shocked. The Heavenly Punisher Palace was a major sect in the southern mountain range. Although it was extremely low-key, the immortals of southern mountains still knew of its existence. However, very few people knew that the Heavenly Punisher Palace was the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Only those major powers knew that the Heavenly Punisher Palace was the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Looking at the scale of the Blackwind Stronghold, it was clearly not a major power. Thus, the fact that they knew the Heavenly Punisher Palace was the Heavenly Punisher Palace was even more shocking. The five of us were originally the enforcers of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. We just didn't like the Heavenly Punisher Palace and ended up in the Blackwind Stronghold. The chief sneered. Clearly, he did not like the Heavenly Punisher Palace. You were the enforcers of the Heavenly Punisher Palace? Murong Yu could not help but exclaim. At this point, Murong Yu finally understood why the Heavenly Punisher Palace gave him the mission of exterminating the Blackwind Stronghold. It turned out that they were the traitors of the Blackwind Stronghold. The Heavenly Punisher Palace is really sinister. Whether it was the mission description or the information, they did not mention the identity of the five of them. Even the words Blackwind Stronghold were not mentioned. Murong Yu was very dissatisfied with the Heavenly Punisher Palace's approach. Suddenly, Murong Yu's heart moved. Which batch of people did I come here to do the mission? Murong Yu suddenly thought that the five chiefs of the Blackwind Stronghold were the enforcers of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Moreover, the Blackwind Stronghold had been established for a long time. Presumably, the Heavenly Punisher Palace had long wanted to exterminate the Blackwind Stronghold. After all, if outsiders knew that the bandits of the Blackwind Stronghold were actually from the Heavenly Punisher Palace, even if they knew that the five of them were the traitors of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, they would still not believe them. They would still suspect that the Heavenly Punisher Palace had deliberately set them up as chess pieces. Moreover, even if people believed that the five chiefs were the traitors of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, they were still people of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Seeing them commit evil, burning, killing, and looting, these people naturally did not have a good impression of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. No matter what the reason was, the Heavenly Punisher Palace needed to exterminate the bandits of the Blackwind Stronghold. However, the Blackwind Stronghold was in the depths of the southern mountain range. Immortal kings were unable to enter. 9 Heavens Xian immortals could enter, But the Heavenly Punisher Palace did not seem to send a large number of 9 Heaven Xian immortals into the depths of the southern mountain range to exterminate the Blackwind stronghold. They only treated it as a mission for the enforcers. Over the countless years, I can't remember how many people of the Heavenly Punisher Palace have died at our hands. The second chief looked at Murong-Yu with a cold smile. As expected, Murong-Yu's eyes flashed with a sharp light. He was somewhat unhappy. If it were not for the fact that he had many 9 Heaven Xian immortals as his subordinates, then he would have entered here just like those disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Perhaps after a few hundred years, when he was strong enough, he would be able to complete this mission. However, how could the Heavenly Punisher Palace be so sure that he would reach the 9 Heaven Xian immortal realm within 1,000 years? Moreover, even if he reached the 9 Heaven Xian immortal realm, he would not be a match for these 5 people, right? Conspiracy. These 2 words suddenly appeared in Murong-Yu's mind. At this moment, he realized that his mission seemed to be a conspiracy against him. However, he was just a high immortal. What kind of conspiracy could the Heavenly Punisher Palace have? Next, Murong-Yu asked about some secrets of the southern mountain range. Perhaps it was because they had opened the topic, or perhaps they were really afraid that Murong-Yu would use the soul-searching technique to read their memories and turn them into idiots. These bandits actually told him everything they knew. After getting the information he wanted, Murong-Yu slapped the 5 fort masters to death. These 5 guys were not only traitors of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Most importantly, these 5 guys usually did all kinds of evil. They really deserved to die. For this kind of people, Murong-Yu did not even have the thought of subduing them for his own use. Even if the other party was a 9 Heavens Xian Immortal Realm expert. What secrets does the Southern Mountain Range have? Immortal King Realm experts are actually unable to enter here? Once they enter, they will definitely die. Murong-Yu muttered to himself. Should I establish the Shenzhen sect here or not? No other immortals dare to enter here. Establishing here is absolutely safe. However, although Shenzhen sect will not have an Immortal King Realm expert in a short time, once the Shenzhen sect is established here, it will be much more troublesome to move in the future. No one dared to enter the southern mountain range because of the immortal spirit energy. Establishing a sect here was definitely the best choice. However, if they could not solve the secret of the southern mountain range, it would not be safe to establish the Shenzhen sect here. I have to think about this matter carefully. Murong-Yu muttered to himself and decided to put this problem aside first. He would first see if there was a way to solve the secret of the southern mountain range. Most importantly, Zhou Dong and the others had already sorted out the treasures of the Black Wind Stockade. 10,000 immortal meridians. Murong-Yu was shocked. This Black Wind Stockade was equivalent to a third-rate force. How could it have so many immortal meridians? Moreover, these immortal meridians were second-grade and even third-grade immortal meridians. An ordinary third-rate force would not have many immortal meridians in the entire sect. But this Black Wind Stockade, with the strength of the Black Wind Stockade, it was impossible for them to destroy a stronger sect and seize the immortal meridians. The reason why they had so many immortal meridians should be because they had collected the immortal meridians in the southern mountain range. The southern mountain range was extremely vast. No one knew how many miles it was. All along, not many people dared to enter the southern mountain range. It could even be said that the entire southern mountain range belonged to the Black Wind Stockade. It was normal for them to be able to obtain 10,000 immortal meridians in the southern mountain range. Other than that, the Black Wind Stockade also had a large number of immortal weapons. However, these were all low-grade immortal weapons. Even if they were devoured by the celestial slashing sword, it would not be of much use. However, these immortal weapons were just right for the disciples of the primal chaos Shenzhen to use. However, with so many people in the Shenzhen, the Black Wind Stockade's tens of thousands of immortal weapons were far from enough. Other than the immortal meridians and immortal weapons, the Black Wind Stockade also had various immortal pills and heavenly treasures. The wealth within was more than anything Murong you had ever seen. After all, this was accumulated by the Black Wind Stockade over countless years. They had robbed countless people and sections. Now, it was Murong Yu who had benefited. Chapter 436. After collecting the treasures that the Black Wind Stockade had obtained over countless years, Murong Yu did not leave the southern mountains. Instead, he continued to stay in the southern mountains for a while. Why were powerhouses of the immortal king realm and above killed after entering the southern mountains? Who had killed them? What secrets did the southern mountains hold? To be able to kill powerhouses of the immortal king realm, or even immortal lords or immortal emperors. In that case, there must be a superpower hidden in the southern mountains. Even the entire southern mountains was under the control of this power. It was precisely because of this that this power prohibited powerhouses of the immortal king realm and above from entering the southern mountains. They could not invade the power's territory. Murong Yu guessed in his heart. However, Murong Yu had never heard of any sects in the southern mountains, other than the Black Wind Stockade that he had destroyed. However, if there was no power, then who had killed those powerhouses who had entered the southern mountains? Murong Yu stayed in the southern mountains for a few days. He wanted to discover the power hidden in the southern mountains, but he had not found anything. The southern mountains was simply too big. Even though Murong Yu was extremely fast, it was impossible for him to travel through the entire southern mountains in a short period of time. Moreover, because of the possible existence of the sect, with their strength, they did not want to be discovered by others. With Murong Yu's current strength, he really could not discover them. If there really is a power in the southern mountains, it must be hidden somewhere in the southern mountains or in another space. This kind of power must be very powerful, at least at the level of the Immortal Palace. Murong Yu muttered to himself. Even the Heavenly Punisher Palace was unwilling to enter the southern mountains. One could imagine how powerful the sect in the southern mountains was. With my strength, even if I search the entire southern mountains, I'm afraid I won't be able to find the location of that sect. Now that the Black Wind Stockade has been destroyed, I'll return to the Heavenly Punisher Palace to complete the mission and see if there's any information about the southern mountains. Murong Yu thought for a moment, then his figure flashed and disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he was already outside the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Not long after, he had entered the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Mount Wuji in the Mission Hall. What? You wiped out the Black Wind Stockade in the South Mountains? When he saw that Murong Yu was about to submit this mission, the elder who issued the mission couldn't help but exclaim. Not too long ago, Murong Yu had destroyed the Black Civ sect, which had shocked him greatly. A few days later, Murong Yu once again destroyed the Blackwind Stockade. It must be remembered that the Blackwind stronghold was many times more powerful than the Black Civ sect. Furthermore, the 5 fort masters of the Black Wind Stockade were originally the enforcers of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Before Murong Yu, countless punishers who had accepted this mission had returned empty-handed. Many of them had even been killed by the Black Wind Stockade. Most importantly, those people were far stronger than Murong Yu. At any rate, Murong Yu was just an ascendant immortal. What? The Black Wind Stockade was annihilated? There were many disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace in the mission hall. As for the Blackwind Stronghold mission, although the mission to eliminate the Blackwind Stronghold didn't mention the Blackwind Stronghold, many people had accepted this mission before. Therefore, many people knew about the mission to eliminate the Blackwind Stronghold. That's a death mission, a mission that's almost impossible to complete. When they heard about the Blackwind Stockade's mission, the first thing that came to mind was the repeated failures to wipe out the Blackwind Stockade. The bandits of the Blackwind Stockade were truly powerful, and immortal kings were unable to enter. If they wanted to enter the South Mountains to wipe out the Blackwind Stockade, they needed a large number of experts. However, apart from those who were unlucky enough to be assigned this mission, who would dare enter the South Mountains? After all, they were terrifying existences that could even kill immortal kings. Thus, the mission to wipe out the Blackwind Stockade had never been completed. On the contrary, many disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace had died at the hands of the Blackwind Stockade. Thus, when they heard the exclamation of the Mission Hall Elder, everyone in the hall instantly focused their attention on Murong-Yu. A disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace looked at Murong-Yu and said disdainfully, "A superior immortal actually completed the mission to wipe out the Blackwind Stockade? Is this a joke?" No one would believe that a superior immortal could wipe out the Blackwind Stockade. However, the exclamation of the Mission Hall Elder didn't seem to be false. "Even if you beat me to death, I won't believe that a superior immortal could wipe out the Blackwind Stockade." Another disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace had an expression of disbelief. "This is definitely a joke." Almost none of the disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace believed it. "Is this guy trying to deceive the Mission Hall Elder? He's really reckless," another person said. "Haha, this guy was probably assigned the mission to wipe out the Blackwind Stockade, but he didn't have the ability to complete it, so he's trying to bluff his way through again, right?" Bluff his way through? Unless there's something wrong with his brain, someone sneered disdainfully. Although the surrounding people's voices weren't particularly loud, how could their words not reach Murong-Yu's ears despite the size of the hall? Not a single word of their discussion escaped Murong-Yu's ears. Murong-Yu didn't react to their disdain and mockery. After all, he was only a superior immortal, and the Blackwind Stockade was a third-rate power. If it were him, he probably wouldn't believe it either. However, just because Murong-Yu didn't care about what they said didn't mean that he didn't feel the slightest bit of emotion. Immediately, he glared fiercely at the Mission Hall Elder, an expression of obvious displeasure on his face. No matter what, the Mission Hall Elder was still an elder. How could he make such a big fuss over nothing? In reality, what Murong-Yu didn't know was that the fact that he'd wiped out the Black Civ sect had already caused these elders to feel incredulous. They'd already been paying attention to him. Now that he'd wiped out the Blackwind Stockade, which they'd never been able to wipe out, the Mission Hall Elder was naturally astonished. After all, he'd seen countless disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace accept this mission, but in the end they'd all failed and never returned. Thus, when he learned that Murong-Yu had actually wiped out the Blackwind Stockade, he was naturally astonished. Furthermore, he didn't think that Murong-Yu had bluffed his way through. The Mission Hall Elder was a bit embarrassed, and his face darkened. He swept his gaze fiercely over the disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, then coldly said to Murong-Yu, "Follow me." That seems to be Murong-Yu. He completed the mission to wipe out the Blackwind Stockade? After Murong-Yu left, a disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace suddenly cried out in alarm. "Who's Murong-Yu? That name sounds familiar. Where have I heard it before?" A disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace looked puzzled. There were too many disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace, other than a few, who knew the rest. Not long ago, on the Five-Finger Mountain Plaza, a new enforcer of the higher immortal stage completely defeated another new enforcer of the golden immortal stage. It seems that the higher immortal was also called Murong-Yu. Could it be that guy? Yes, I remember now. He even won a few royal weapons that day. A disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace suddenly recalled the duel that day. It seems that this guy hid his strength well. Defeating a golden immortal was already very shocking. I didn't expect him to wipe out the Blackwind Stockade. So it's him. In that case, he does have the ability to wipe out the Blackwind Stockade with the royal weapon in his hand. Once an immortal king stage expert entered the southern mountains, they would be killed. However, what if Murong-Yu had a royal weapon? The royal weapon wouldn't be killed, right? Moreover, a royal weapon was equivalent to an immortal king. So it's because of the royal weapon. Someone suddenly understood. However, they didn't know that Morong Yu had never used a royal weapon. Using a royal weapon consumed too much energy. With Morong Yu's current strength, he could only barely use it once. Even if Morong Yu could kill the Blackwind Stockade's stockade master, there were still 4 other stockade masters. Moreover, there were also many other experts. With just a royal weapon, Morong Yu couldn't wipe out the Blackwind Stockade. Royal weapon! In the hall, the eyes of several disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace flashed with greed. This kid is too elusive. We don't even have a chance to attack, a disciple of the Heavenly Punisher Palace said with a sneer. In reality, the temptation of a royal weapon was extremely great. When the news of Morong Yu obtaining a royal weapon spread, the disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace had their eyes on him. However, Morong Yu usually used the Hichu Luoshu to teleport. They simply didn't have a chance to attack. In the building behind the mission hall. This was the second time that Morong Yu had come here. The first time was also because he had destroyed the Black Civ sect. The mission elder looked coldly at Morong Yu and said, "You said that you've completed the mission to wipe out the Blackwind Stockade. We still need to confirm the procedures, huh?" The mission elder was just about to say that he wanted to confirm whether or not Morong Yu had really wiped out the Blackwind Stockade. However, before he could finish, he couldn't say anything else. This was because 5 corpses had appeared out of thin air in front of him. They were the 5 stockade masters of the Blackwind Stockade. "I think we can confirm it now?" Morong Yu looked at the mission elder and said calmly. "We can confirm it." The mission elder couldn't help but follow Morong Yu's words. He had already confirmed the identities of the 5 corpses. They were indeed the stockade masters of the Blackwind Stockade. "This brat, what other tricks does he have up his sleeve?" The mission elder was greatly shocked. He couldn't help but look at Morong Yu. At the same time, behind the building, several old men were also looking at Morong Yu with astonishment. "This brat really surprises people. I really want to know what he can't accomplish." The old men's faces were filled with astonishment. "He's one of the fastest newcomers to the Heavenly Punisher Palace to complete the first mission. I wonder if he'll be able to complete the last mission?" One of the old men suddenly became curious. The mysterious disappearance of the palace master of the Feng Province branch? Even our Heavenly Punisher Palace couldn't find the reason for that. If Morong Yu can truly investigate it, then I'll spare no expense to nurture him, one of the old men said. Chapter 437. While these seemingly heavenly punishing palace elders were talking about Morong Yu behind his back, Morong Yu was still in the main hall. If Morong Yu knew that the Heavenly Punishing Palace had given him the task of investigating something that even they couldn't investigate, even if these people were elders of the Heavenly Punishing Palace, Morong Yu would probably fall out with them. After all, this matter was simply too nonsensical. What kind of power was the Heavenly Punishing Palace? Something that they couldn't investigate was given to Morong Yu, an immortal. Moreover, it was set to be completed within 1,000 years. Wasn't this making things difficult for Morong Yu? Fortunately, Morong Yu didn't know about this matter. Otherwise, he would have flipped out. "Elder, my task can be considered completed, right? Can we leave now?" Morong Yu indifferently said as he looked at the elder's shocked expression. The elder was still in shock and disbelief. Hearing Morong Yu's words, he just waved his hand. Seeing this, Morong Yu left the main hall and went to the information hall on the other side. The information hall was not only for information, but also for contribution points, points exchange, etc. Morong Yu had come here to see if there were any secrets related to the Nanling Mountains. If there were, he wouldn't bother to investigate. After checking, Morong Yu was pleasantly surprised to find that the Heavenly Punishing Palace really had information about the southern mountains. So, he went to find an elder in the main hall. This elder had the appearance of an old man. His face was indifferent. When Morong Yu came over, He only glanced at him coldly and didn't say anything. The information about the southern mountains requires 5,000 points. The elder's indifferent voice gave Morong Yu a big fright. 5,000 points. Morong Yu rolled his eyes. He only used 100 points to exchange for the information about the Black Wind stronghold. The information about the southern mountains was 50 times more valuable than the information about the Black Wind stronghold. Perhaps the information really does contain the secrets of the Nanling Mountains. Morong Yu was a little excited. Since the points were so expensive, they definitely had their value. Morong Yu took out a token and handed it over to the indifferent elder. He said in a firm tone, "Exchange." This token was Morong Yu's identity token in the Heavenly Retribution Palace. In addition to indicating Morong Yu's identity, it also had a function similar to a jade slip, recording everything that had happened to Morong Yu in the Heavenly Retribution Palace. This included his points in Morong Yu and the Heavenly Punishing Palace. A new Punisher? This kid has some gut. When the indifferent elder received Morong Yu's identity medallion, his indifferent face couldn't help but reveal an astonished expression. As an elder of the Intelligence Hall, he came into contact with many matters of exchanging points for information and items on a daily basis. This kind of thing was repeated every day, and he had seen all kinds of people. He was already numb to it. However, he'd never seen a newly appointed punishment enforcer as courageous as Morong Yu. Does he not know the preciousness of the Heavenly Retribution Palace's points? The indifferent elder's heart flashed with a touch of doubt. As a disciple of the Heavenly Retribution Palace, everyone knew the preciousness of points. Therefore, every disciple who wanted to exchange points, even if it was just 1 point, would have to think for a long time. Morong Yu had only been a punisher for a few days, but he had already spent a lot of points. This was the first time the indifferent elder had seen someone like him. If this kid is not too bold, then he is too ignorant. The indifferent elder glanced at Morong Yu and directly deducted 5,000 points from Morong Yu's token. Although he felt that Morong Yu was wasting points, what did this have to do with him? Wasting was Morong Yu's business. It had nothing to do with him. He didn't need to remind him. However, he didn't know the importance of the Nanling Mountains' secrets to Morong Yu. Even if the Nanling Mountains' information was worth 50,000 points, Morong Yu would not hesitate to exchange for it. Of course, the premise was that Morong Yu had so many points. If he only spent 5,000 points in exchange for the Chaos Shenzhen's development in the immortal world, it was absolutely worth it. After spending 5,000 points, Morong Yu's token still had 4,900 points. Morong Yu put the token into the Hichu Luoshu world and at the same time took the indifferent elder's jade slip. The moment he took the jade slip, Morong Yu couldn't wait to explore it with his divine sense. However, it didn't take long for him to withdraw his divine sense from the jade slip with a slight frown. Just as his spiritual sense exited the jade slip in his hand automatically shattered. This information was a one-time use. This was the Heavenly Retribution Palace's method to prevent information from being leaked. 5,000 points for this little information? Morong Yu looked gloomily at the indifferent elder. He couldn't help but feel angry. That was 5,000 points. Originally, Morong Yu thought that the information exchanged for 5,000 points would be very detailed. However, he had already learned a considerable part of the information in the jade slip from the Black Wind Stronghold Master. The Nanling Mountains is a forbidden area in the Lingnan region. Experts above the Immortal King realm will die if they enter. It is the tomb of experts. This was a paragraph in the jade slip, which had no value at all. The slightly valuable information was that the information mentioned that there were no sects in the Lingnan region. This made Morong Yu's guess fail. However, there was no information about why experts above the Immortal King realm would die if they entered the Lingnan region and why the Nanling Mountains were the tomb of experts. If you want more detailed information, you can exchange it with points. The indifferent elder was expressionless in the face of Murong Yu's anger. He faced this kind of situation every day. There is more detailed information? Murong Yu was a little shocked, but more than that, he was angry and a little puzzled. 5,000 points in exchange for such a small amount of information. This information is too valuable. If Murong Yu said that he was not angry in his heart, it would be a lie. Why did I only get a little information? Is it because I don't have enough points? Murong Yu suppressed the anger in his heart and looked at the indifferent elder coldly and asked, "You don't have enough authority." The indifferent elder didn't even look at Murong Yu and just said these 4 words indifferently. "Authority." Murong Yu frowned. "How can I increase my authority?" The authority of the enforcers of the cultivation world and the palace masters of the heavenly Punisher Palace are the same. Your authority is much higher than the average heavenly Punisher Palace disciple. You can look up a lot of information that ordinary disciples can't. Some of it is even free. Moreover, your status and authority have already given you a discount when exchanging points. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to look up the information about the Nanling Mountains. Even if you had the authority to look it up, you would need 10,000 points to exchange for it. Contrary to Murong Yu's expectations, the indifferent elder said a lot of things this time, which made Murong Yu feel slightly surprised. The higher the authority, the more information one could look up. There was also a discount when exchanging points. Some of the information was even provided for free. The indifferent elder's words revealed this information. This made Murong Yu a little surprised. He was the enforcer of the cultivation world. Previously, he didn't understand the exchange of points for ordinary disciples of the Heavenly Punisher Palace. Therefore, he didn't know that his authority in the Heavenly Punisher Palace wasn't low. "How can I increase my authority?" Murong Yu asked again. "Increase the star level of the manor or increase your status in the Heavenly Punisher Palace." The indifferent elder glanced at Murong Yu and said indifferently, "Okay." Murong Yu was a little depressed in his heart. Whether it was increasing the star level of the manor or increasing his status in the Heavenly Punisher Palace, it was impossible for him at this stage. How many points do I need for more detailed information about the Nanling Mountains? 50,000. 50,000 points. Murong Yu almost cursed at the indifferent elder. This was too much of a scam. 50,000 points? He might as well rob someone. The intelligence has detailed information about the Nanling Mountains. It even has the secret of why experts of the Immortal King realm and above can't enter the Nanling Mountains. At this time, the indifferent elder suddenly said. Murong Yu couldn't wait to slap this elder to death. He knew that Murong Yu didn't have that many points, but he deliberately said this. Wasn't he deliberately provoking Murong Yu? "We'll talk about it when I have enough points." Murong Yu turned around and left the hall. The Heavenly Punisher Palace's point system was too much of a scam. Completing tasks didn't give many points, but if one wanted to use points to exchange for items and information, it was very deceptive. It seems that the Heavenly Punisher Palace isn't a good place. If I only rely on points to exchange, I don't know when I will be able to find the secret of the Nanling Mountains. Murong Yu muttered to himself. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. The old man is so strong and has a wide network of connections. He should know the secret of the Nanling Mountains. It's just that the old man is elusive. I don't know where he is now. Since there was no sect in the Nanling Mountains, Murong Yu's previous guess that some sect had occupied the Nanling Mountains was wrong. However, since there was no sect in the Nanling Mountains, who killed those experts who broke into the Nanling Mountains? This was quite mysterious. Should I build the Chaos Shenzhen on the Nanling Mountains? Murong Yu hesitated. The Nanling Mountains was rich in immortal spirit qi. It was definitely the best choice to build a sect. However, the situation in the Nanling Mountains was unknown. If he built the Shenzhen there rashly, something unexpected might happen. Murong Yu returned to his manor in the Heavenly Punisher Palace. As soon as he entered the manor, he saw Steward Ma. Then, Murong Yu's eyes lit up. Steward Ma is an expert in the Immortal King realm. He should know some of the secret of the Nanling Mountains, right? Steward Ma, let me ask you something. Do you know the secret of the Nanling Mountains? Murong Yu went straight to the point. Steward Ma's expression suddenly changed. He looked at Murong Yu in surprise. Looking at Steward Ma's expression, Murong Yu was delighted. He felt that there was hope, so he asked again, "Do you know why experts in the Immortal King realm or above can't enter the Nanling Mountains?" "Palace Master, the Nanling Mountains are extremely mysterious. Do you want to explore the Nanling Mountains? Please think twice. The Nanling Mountains is not a place where ordinary people can enter." Steward Ma's expression changed. He thought that Murong Yu wanted to enter the Nanling Mountains, so he quickly tried to dissuade him. However, he didn't know that Murong Yu had already walked around the Nanling Mountains. Chapter 438. Seeing the change in Steward Ma's expression, Murong Yu was overjoyed. If Steward Ma did not know the secret of the southern mountain range, why would he be so nervous? Therefore, Murong Yu asked directly, "Steward Ma, tell me more about the southern mountain range." Steward Ma looked at Murong Yu seriously and said, "Palace Master, do you really want to know about the southern mountain range? Although I know a little, it's not the whole story." Murong Yu nodded, but he was overjoyed. He did not need to know too much, even if it was just a little, it would be enough. After all, the southern mountain range was so big, and the secret of the southern mountain range was definitely not a small matter. It was probably impossible to know everything. Steward Ma did not speak, but he muttered to himself as if he was organizing his words. After a long while, Steward Ma said slowly, "The southern mountain range is the forbidden area of the southern mountain range, and is also one of the famous forbidden areas in the immortal world. It is the tomb of immortal kings and above." Murong Yu nodded his head. He already knew all of this. What he wanted to know now was what had caused this situation to occur. Who was it that killed his immortal king realm experts? However, he did not interrupt Steward Ma. Listening to Steward Ma's explanation, Murong Yu finally had a rough understanding of the southern mountain range. A long, long time ago, perhaps during the ancient times or even longer ago, the southern mountain range was the place with the densest immortal spirit chi in the southern mountain range, just like now. However, at that time, the southern mountain range was not as strange as it was now. At that time, although the southern mountain range was big, it was dominated by a huge sect. This huge sect was very powerful, even more powerful than the current Immortal Palace, Devil Sect, and so on. It was the absolute overlord of the immortal world at that time, almost ruling the entire immortal world. That huge sect was called the Phantom Sect. The Phantom Sect. Murong Yu frowned slightly. Why had he not heard of a huge sect in the ancient times, an absolute overlord of the immortal world? Moreover, at that time, the entire southern mountain range was the territory of the Phantom Sect, almost ruling the entire immortal world, but now there was no trace of it? Could it have been destroyed? Although the Phantom Sect is powerful and has practically ruled over the entire immortal world, a tall tree attracts the wind. Naturally, the various sects in the immortal world are unhappy with being ruled by the Phantom Sect. It turned out that although the Mirage Sect ruled the immortal world, it was relatively low-key and did not deliberately suppress the development of other sections. At that time, the immortal realm had many superpowers at the same level as the Immortal Palace today. However, although the Phantom Sect didn't suppress these sects didn't want their sects to be suppressed by the Phantom Sect for a long time. This was because they all wanted to become the overlord of the immortal world and unify the immortal world. Thus, a soul-stirring battle began. In this war, the Mirage Sect alone faced almost all the forces of the immortal world. It must be known that this was the ancient times, when the various sects and clans contended for supremacy. Other than the giant Phantom sect, there were many other superpowers. Although the Phantom sect was powerful, they were still alone. Could it be that the Phantom sect was uprooted just like that? Murong Yu's eyes flashed as he found it hard to believe. A giant existence was gone just like that. How could it not be shocking? Housekeeper Ma sneered. Although the Phantom sect was alone, they were still the only overlord. Even if the entire immortal world was their enemy, how could they be killed so easily? That war lasted for a whole 100 years. The war that lasted for 100 years caused the sky to fall and the earth to split. Even the southern mountains were almost tied. In that war, both sides suffered heavy losses. Countless experts of the Immortal King realm and above were killed. Even many Immortal Emperor realm experts were killed on the southern mountains. Although the Phantom sect was powerful, each person was a terrifying existence that could fight against 10. However, their opponent was the entire immortal world. Just in terms of numbers, the Phantom sect was already at a disadvantage. Although each person of the Phantom sect was a terrifying existence that could fight against 10, they were not invincible in the end. Experts fell one after another, and blood flowed like a river. Compared to the Phantom sect, the losses of other sects and forces were even more terrifying. There were even countless superpowers that were directly wiped out in that war. Because of that war, countless sects and forces' legacies were destroyed. After fighting for a whole 100 years, countless experts were killed. The Phantom sect also suffered heavy losses. In the end, the Phantom sect was only left with a few Immortal Emperor realm experts. As for the other sects, more than 80% of them were killed by the Phantom sect. Tens of millions of sects were directly destroyed. Is the Phantom sect really that terrifying? Murong Yu asked in shock. He could not imagine how a sect could fight against the entire immortal world. One had to know that this was the immortal world, not the cultivation world. In the cultivation world, a sect only needed a few immortals to fight against the entire world. When Murong Yu was in the immortal world, he used the power of Shenzhen to fight against the entire world. However, the cultivation world could not be compared to the immortal world. The people in the immortal world were much, much stronger. Could it be that there is a god in the Phantom sect? Murong Yu asked with a frown. This was the only explanation that could explain the strength of the Phantom sect. However, if there really was a god, the other sects should also have one. If these experts were to fight, whether it was the Phantom sect or the other sects, they would have been wiped out long ago. Perhaps even the entire immortal world would be destroyed. After all, the level of a god was far beyond the level of an immortal. Steward Ma shook his head. There shouldn't be a god. As for whether there is an even stronger existence, I don't know. After all, this is all hearsay. I don't know if it is true. Murong Yu nodded, but he did have a question. Why are the people of the Phantom sect so strong? Because of their cultivation technique. Their sect's cultivation technique is already very strong. Moreover, some of the experts in the sect have mastered a movement technique. That movement technique is definitely the #1 movement technique. Its speed is extremely fast. It looks down on the world. In the same realm, the speed of the Phantom sect's experts is definitely the #1. Perhaps the origin of the Phantom sect is because of this movement technique. Murong Yu was shocked. Definitely the #1? What kind of movement technique is the Phantom sect's movement technique? Could it be the army formula? Every word of the 9 syllables mantra is definitely the top mental cultivation technique in the world. If the Phantom sect cultivates the army formula, then it is possible that their speed is the #1 in the world. Other than the cultivation technique, the people of the Phantom sect also mastered a type of hand seal. It is said that it is a hand seal that is compatible with the movement technique. Its lethality is extremely terrifying. Basically, one will die upon contact. Moreover, because of the movement technique, ordinary experts are not their opponent. It is extremely difficult to escape from their attacks. Murong Yu was shocked again. Could it be that the Phantom sect really cultivates the army formula? Only the 9 syllables mantra has a matching hand seal. However, it might not be the 9 syllables mantra. Murong Yu was shocked to the extreme. If the Phantom sect really cultivates the army formula, then could the golden corpse in the depths of the Demon Mountain be a member of the Phantom sect? At that time, there was also the heaven-shaking bow and the heaven-shaking arrow. The doubt in Murong Yu's heart grew even stronger. He desperately wanted to know if Huan Ying was cultivating the soldier symbol art. However, the Phantom sect had been destroyed countless years ago. The southern mountains, which had collapsed during the war, had already recovered its spiritual energy. Although the immortal realm was vast, there were probably only a few people who knew about the Phantom sect. Even if the strength of each person in the Phantom sect is heaven-defying, 1 against 10, 1 against 100, in the end, they were still alone. In the end, they were still destroyed by the other sects in the immortal world. Murong Yu sighed. The Phantom sect was destroyed, and the other sects in the immortal world also suffered heavy losses. That war ultimately caused the strength of the immortal world to drop by several levels. Later on, it was almost invaded by the other immortal worlds. With so many people dying in that war, it would be strange if the overall strength of the immortal world did not drop. Being invaded by the other immortal worlds was very normal. However, Murong Yu was not concerned about this. He was more concerned about whether the people of the Phantom sect escape. At that time, almost all of the people of the Phantom sect were killed. In the end, only the Phantom Immortal Emperor, the sect master of the Phantom sect, escaped the southern mountain range with the sect treasure. However, it is said that when the Phantom Immortal Emperor escaped, he was seriously injured. After that, he did not appear again. I believe that he has fallen. Murong Yu's body shook violently. It can't be so coincidental, right? Could that golden skeleton be the sect master of the Phantom sect, the Phantom Immortal Emperor? What is the sect treasure of the Phantom sect? Murong Yu asked anxiously. If the Phantom sect's treasures were the Cosmos Bow and the Heaven-Shaking Arrow, Murong Yu could basically confirm the identity of the golden skeleton. Steward Ma looked at Murong Yu with a surprised expression. He was a little surprised as to why he was so anxious. However, he shook his head. I don't know about this. Murong Yu was a little disappointed. However, he was now basically sure that the golden skeleton should be the Phantom Immortal Emperor. The movement technique of the Phantom sect should also be the army formula. However, how could the army formula be spread in a sect? This was simply impossible. In this regard, Murong Yu vaguely felt that the movement technique of the Phantom sect was not the army formula. It's all been too long. It is basically impossible to figure out what happened back then. Murong Yu sighed. Even though it was Steward Ma who said all this, Murong Yu was not 100% sure that it was true. After all, the Antiquity Age and the present were too long ago. Regarding the battle back then, what was passed down in the world might not be true. No, what is the relationship between the Phantom sect and the Southern Mountain Range? Murong Yu suddenly reacted. Could it be related to the Phantom sect? However, the Phantom sect has been destroyed for so long. How could it still be related to them? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.